Это процесс создания нового.
It is a process of creating something new and a constant search for the very best. Every discovery creates the foundation for new inventions. Today, the evolution of technologies has brought us together at the AIJ for a journey in the world of artificial intelligence, the land of opportunities.
Здравствуйте.
Hello, my name is Anastasia Chernobrovina, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you at the International Conference on AI and Data Analysis, which is called Artificial Intelligence Journey 2022. This is the journey in the world of artificial intelligence. In the next 2 days, we are going to discuss AI with the renowned experts from Russia and abroad, and all the experts and representatives of the businesses that advocate for the AI. We live in the world where technologies are ubiquitous and they are interwoven with the progress. Last year, AI became the largest AI conference in the world in terms of number of registrations. 250 renowned international experts and Russian experts participated, and people from 35 countries participated in the event. More than 50 million views for the opening of the conference. I would like to invite the aide to the President of the Russian Federation, Maxim Oreshkin, and the first Deputy Chairman of Sber Bank, Alexander Vedyakin.
Доброе утро. Очень рад.
Good morning. It is my great pleasure to again open the AI journey that gathers and hosts the best renowned experts on AI. It proves that AI is very important and high on the agenda for the scientific and business community, as well as for the government community and the authorities. Understanding the importance of AI for the welfare of our citizens and ensuring the sovereignty of our country, the President of Russia last year signed a decree to develop AI in Russia. This decree supported the development of AI on all stages, from research and expert development and talent development to the expert and industry regulation. A lot has been done, but now we need to move from the one-off cases to the large-scale implementation across the economy and industries and manufacturing. We have all we need, the technology solutions, the talents, and tens of thousands of Russians who decided to do this as a job. For the next decade, AI can deliver major benefits for the people of our country, ensure the better salaries thanks to the automation and of the business processes, making the solutions better, creation of new materials, improving the lifespan by an additional 3 years thanks to the early diagnosis the diagnosis that is going to be better as well, and developing new treatment programs, improving human capital thanks to the better education trajectories, building better education trajectories. To achieve these goals, we need to work actively and diligently and in a committed way. I'm confident that the AI journey, with the participation of the President of Russia, is going to continue to be one of the key venues that will support the development of AI in Russia. Hi everyone, Maxim, thank you very much. We are living in the era of the rapid development of technologies, and AI is one of the fastest growing technology. AI is basically the main technology of the 21st century. Recommendation services, search engines, and all the other things are parts of our life, and they are based on AI. What is the next stage? We think that we need to move to AGI, the strong artificial intelligence. It will be able to resolve many tasks, work in uncertainty, and will be an even better assistant for the society and for the businesses. We are seeing that the parameters of the neural networks are growing very quickly, and the creation of M3 models is emerging. Multi-model, multitasking, and multi-language based systems, so they can work with different types of information, with stacks, with the audio at the same time. Multitasking means that it can resolve different tasks, and multi-language support helps it to work on different languages. Today we're going to discover the achievements with the world-renowned experts in this area. As Mr. Oreshkin said, it is the 7th conference, annual conference, and the scale has become much larger during this time. We have the best top-notch experts in this area, and we are happy that the number of these experts is continuing to grow. The program is going to be very tight and very interesting. More than 50, we expect the conference to be viewed by more than 50 million people. Qatar, Brazil, Venezuela, India, United Arab Emirates, and many other countries are viewing this conference. We put an ambitious goal to make AI Journey one of the best and the leading scientific conference in AI. AI Journey Science, that's our new track where we're going to discuss the latest developments in AI. That's the first year that we're doing that. We are proud of our young talents that are creating, already in their age, creating great AI solutions, and this is why we're going to have our traditional school and university student track and competition. We hope that this will be a showcase for all the other young people, and they will be drawn into the world of AI. Another important topic is the ethical development of technologies. Last year we made a major step forward by creating a special ethics code in AI, and this year we were able to achieve great results. The code was joined by more than 100 participants. At the end of the day, we're going to sum up the results of our AI Journey contest. That's an international contest, and we're happy that more and more participants are joining the contest, and they are actually resolving important tasks on the edge, on the cutting edge of the science, and they're developing AI for the improvement of the lives of the society. Fusion Brain, that's the major task for the contest. It's the creation of the AGI, and the participants had to know the most relevant methods to develop this AGI solution, the strong AI solution. So let's open our day and our conference, and welcome to AI Journey, the journey into the world of the artificial intelligence 2022. Mr. Oreshkin, Mr. Vidyakin, thank you so much for such a great introduction. We are continuing. I'd like to tell you what we have. Workshops, reports, presentations, masterclasses, the interactive classes for the students. You can select whatever you need, whatever you like, but rest assured, every stream is going to provide you with the most relevant trends and innovations in AI and ML. And right now, I am inviting you to the world of artificial intelligence, and I would like to tell you that we're going to connect with the excellent centers that are working on AIs. We are connecting with them through the video conferencing calls, and I'm going to give the floor to Alexander Vidyakin, the first deputy chairman of Sber, who is going to host this meeting. Thank you, Anastasia. Hi everyone again. So we have just opened the first day of the conference, and traditionally it discusses the most relevant issues, and we're going to discuss how AI is going to resolve global challenges with AI. 17 Goals of Sustainable Development was established by the UN, working on climate, creating on smart cities, and creation of the infrastructure for innovations, and other goals were included. This is the plan for the development of our civilization as a whole, and there are major challenges according to the UN in the last 30 30 years, the planet lost more than 420 million hectares of trees. Every decade, the Arctic ice is decreasing by 1 million square kilometers. 19 centimeters, that was the raise of the sea level in the last several decades. 8 billion people by 2024, that was the forecast of the UN, but you know that we were able to achieve this figure much quicker. In November this year, we went through this important benchmark, and we need to move faster, therefore, and we need global tools for resolving global challenges. One of these tools for that is the AI. On G20 work, the Sustainable Development Goals, for that, they are recommended to create excellence centers in different parts of the world. In Russia, these centers are being created. Regions of Russia are using AI more and more actively to resolve the challenges that they face. Sber is actively participating in that. This autumn, together with the Far Eastern Technology University, we have opened an excellence center on AI. It works with the environmental issues on a global scale, by the way, and today we're going to connect with the Russian excellence centers for the development of AI, and we're going to talk about AI applications for the achievement of the SDGs. Alexei Chekhonkov, the Minister of Russian Federation for the Development of Arctic and Far Eastern Region, Vyacheslav Malenkov, the Deputy Minister of the Government of the Sakhalin region, Mr. Korobets, the Acting Head of the Far Eastern University, Alexander Kuleshov, the Head of the Skolko School of Technology, called Skoltech, Mikhail Fedoruk, the rector of Novosibirsk State University, and Eduard Golozhinsky, the rector of the Tomsk State University, and Alexander Tarmasov, the rector of Innopolis University. We are also going to be joined with Kandinsky Neural Network. That's an AI solution, and it is going to show us with what images this or that issue, how can you describe this or that issue with an image? Now, the first question. We know that on the Far Eastern region, the most advanced technologies are being developed. We look at the protected forest areas. We see hackathons for the students and for the school children. 3 Far Eastern regions have become leaders in terms of the digitization. Yakutsk was one of them, by the way, and I know that you are there in Yakutsk, a city that with quite cold weather and quite far away from Moscow. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals are being achieved by many, but actually the Far Eastern region is 7 million square kilometers, 40% of our country. That's a lot. It can be compared with entire continents. Developing technologies in companies or in one megapolis or in one urban center is one thing, and developing AI on a continental scale, that's a total different issue. Can you tell us what are the real possibilities and what are the goals and targets for implementing AI in the Far Eastern and Arctic regions of Russia? Mr. Vedyakhin, friends, hello from our sunny city of Yakutsk. And maybe those who don't know about AI, they would think that maybe AI in Yakutsk is not really the topic that, comes to mind first, but I'm confident that everyone knows that Yakutsk region is one of the leaders in terms of the implementation of information technologies and including AI. And here we face and we use several systems, large-scale systems, huge systems that need analysis of big data, and that is done by neural networks to be able to, drive the economy on this region. Unfortunately, last season, Yakutsk region had a big problem with forest fires, and we have implemented the system which is called Eastern Forest. It is going to be rolled out for all the forests in Russia. It will analyze the satellite images, and it will use the networks to analyze the forest systems. If there is a spread of disease, if the forests are cut illegally, and of course if there's fire. Neural networks are used in other systems, like in transportation networks. We analyze the ice situation for our sea transportation facilities. This is a very complex system, and we use AI very actively to forecast the ice thickness. Softcomplot, Rosatom are one of the leaders in applying these technologies. Now, we have just faced we have just built one of the largest cardio centers with AI. We have some special programs for the development of Far Eastern region. We have some very promising startups, including in healthcare and in medical analysis. Sber company is using AI to analyze computer tomography and MRI and other scans, and it scans it with AI. Starting to roll it out across Russia. It is supported by the investments of Interros by Mr. Potanin, and together with the CEO of Interrosa, Sergei Potechin, we were at this startup, and after that we visited the startup and we invested there, and in August already we were reporting to the Prime Minister of Russia in terms of this development. Now, Far Eastern region is the place where Russia meets the Asian Pacific region. Asia Pacific region is the most important ocean of data, so to speak. It is the largest population and the largest number of gadgets and electronic devices, and these data points that are used to build the artificial intelligence, and therefore we strive to make sure that the centers like that, the Yakutsk universities, the Banford and all the other universities, we need to make sure that they are not only the excellent centers for the Russian implementation of AI, but we also need to partner them to be the centers, to partner with the Asia-Pacific countries to develop AI. And I think it's very important to include Far Eastern, the people living in Far Eastern region, to raise awareness in terms of AI among the population. We're going to make a special AI day in the schools in Far Eastern region. There will be a lesson for the school kids that will talk about the AI applications and how it improves the lives of the people. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all the luck and success for the conference.
Alexei, thank you so much for that. It is true that it is absolutely crucial what you're doing in the Far Eastern region in terms of developing the AI. And I remember back when talking to you about this, and we actually visited your region, and we were quite amazed by what you have been doing there. This is awesome. This makes me so happy. And at Sber, we are going to help you in any way we can to develop this technology in the Far East, wherever your ministry is working. Thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck. I have now a question for Vyacheslav Alenkov. One of the goals in sustainable development is the goal of combating climate change. Carbon neutrality in your region, the ambitious goal there, one of the most ambitious goals actually in the world, region-wise, and even if we compare your region to other states, the unique flora and fauna of the Sakhalin region are going to change dramatically, even if the global temperature rises by as much as 2 degrees centigrade. I know that you have been actively implementing AI, and I know that you have been experimenting with AI. So the question for you is, artificial intelligence can help make Sakhalin a truly digital island. What do you think would be the benefit of that for your citizens? Mr. Vedyahin, dear colleagues, hello. It is true that sustainable development for us is not just words. We do have our sustainability agenda. We want to build a sustainable and efficient system of governance in the region. We want to create a comfortable environment for citizens. Just a couple of examples from practice. Ecology, for example, liquidation of non-sanctioned, non-licensed landfills. We have been using drones to identify landfills of that kind. We have created a digital map of such landfills, and we are trying to get rid of them. So we are talking about areas of waste management that are beyond any licenses or permits, and we have also been using AI in prospecting exercises. Also with infrastructure in cities, dust, snow, precipitations. Once again, we have been creating a digital map with the relevant governance control mechanisms. We managed to clean the streets from any snow or rain so quickly that the very next day you can go ahead and ride your bike to commute to work. And we have developed standards for cleaning the streets from dust, from snow, and we have managed to decrease by a factor of 5 the amount of dust on our streets. Same with the landfills. We have been benefiting from AI for identifying, for targeted fixation of problem areas. We have a special vehicle moving around the city with modern controls, accumulating data with AI on board to identify problem areas and to redistribute resources to fight any problems in the urban environment. Once again, AI has been very helpful in these endeavors. We've also been leveraging AI to improve the design in our city. As you rightly mentioned, we have a pretty extensive sustainability agenda in the region, and we have quite an area for maneuvering in using AI, for example, with greenhouse gas emissions. We could reduce the emissions of such gases thanks to reduction of traffic. So one of the main goals for us is to create the right routes and infrastructure. We could do it in real time, provided we have the right data and information. This will have economic benefits, and this will also reduce harmful emissions and our negative impact on the environment. This year, we have another sustainability goal. We want to fully transition to data-driven governance in the region. We have the school for that. We have the standards for that. The standards that specify which decisions should be made, which policies should be adhered to in the process. I've already given you a few examples of how we've been using AI, and starting next year, we hope to see hundreds and hundreds of practical use cases of where we benefit from AI and improve living in our city for people. Thank you, Vyacheslav. It's great to hear that government officials have been learning more about artificial intelligence, using it for practical purposes. Will you be able to do the programming, or will you just be doing the goal setting? I think we will start programming at some point. We have 5 elements in our guidelines, in our agenda. So we hope to reach step 3 very soon, related to decision-making and governance controls. We have been making quite a lot of progress in that. One more question for you. What problems do you see? What are the main challenges, the main barriers for the Sakhalin region to become a truly digital region? Is it a lack of data? Is it talent shortage? What do you think it is? Because we have been in a dialogue with many regions about it, and this is quite a sore spot. Well, based on statistics, we have been consistently in the top 10 of Russian regions by digitization. So we are pretty digitized, and we have a lot of colleagues. We welcome a lot of colleagues from other regions to share our experience in digitization. But I think we could do better. The first challenge is, of course, the shortage of talent, as you said, and the lack of culture, the decision-making culture, decision-making based on data, I mean. I'm talking about regional governance, municipal administration. I'm talking about the ability to use data to make a decision. And once they can do that, once they learn to do that, we will know that we are truly digital. And not just a region that implements different systems here and there arbitrarily. A region where digitization is concentrated in the Ministry of Digital Development. Thank you very much, Vyacheslav. I am being shown this image. I hope you can see it too. Climate change in Sakhalin. This looks very flowery. Well, this is the take of the neural network on Sakhalin, on its development. It's interesting how artificial intelligence sees climate change. Okay, moving on. The next question is for Boris Korobets. One of the SDGs is about preserving aquatic sea flora and fauna. More than 3 billion people depend on it. The ocean contains billions and billions of species. The preservation of sea ecosystems is particularly relevant these days because for your region, for Primorye region, because your border is largely a sea border, and there are a lot of problems that can be solved with AI. So a question for you, Boris. I know that you have been putting into practice a lot of interesting AI research, and such research is a great opportunity for you to partner up with universities and counterparties from abroad. So what do you think we could do to scale up your endeavors to, well, the world? Hello, Alexander. Hello, colleagues. It's a great pleasure for me to be speaking here at the conference. As you probably know, we have very recently opened this Far Eastern Center for AI research, supported by Mr. Graf and you, Mr. Vedekhin. That is quite an achievement for us, quite a milestone. It's great to see that in the Far Eastern region, at our university, we have our own AI research center. This is a very tall task, environmental task, and you very rightly mentioned SDGs that are pertinent not just for the Far Eastern region and also for Kamchatka, given the natural disaster that we had to deal with a couple of years ago, and the entire Asian Pacific region, to be honest. The work that we are doing at the Far Eastern University and at the AI Center is quite extensive. AI regulation, the relevant legislation, practical use cases. One of the challenges that we're dealing with is this problem, this very high-profile problem. Unfortunately, it persists. The so-called red ties that we had back in 2020 in Kamchatka. This is related to the life of these plankton organisms in sea. So predicting the probability and the localization of such red ties could only be done with AI. Previously, we had to do it just by guessing, really. But these days, thanks to AI, we can be very accurate, very precise in our forecasting. So thanks to the help of Sberbank, thanks to the data and the work done by our colleagues at the university related to such red ties, now we can indeed predict when and where the microalgae, the plankton, will be flourishing, because that could result in damage for the regions and for the whole industry the whole industry that depends on the sea. We have been working very closely with the Sber AI lab, so now we can identify the start of the flourishing period, and we can also assess the state of the environment where there is a high likelihood that the algae will start developing and flourishing. And so I hope that we will be able to avoid such disasters in the future. And another problem that is very pertinent for the Asian Pacific regions is predicting tropical cyclones. The corresponding monitoring, the tracing of those cyclones. This is a very relevant problem for our Asian counterparts, because we have been hearing now and again the damage done by such cyclones, and learning how to forecast them accurately is absolutely essential. This is the challenge that we are dealing with, and I think we have made a lot of progress towards solving it. We have learned to identify the emergence of a cyclone thanks to the Japanese counterparts, JAMARIS and Electro, the Russian satellites. So now we can do the identification and prediction quite well. We have been exchanging data with Sber, and in October we started training the AI model, and we hope we will do even better with predicting the cyclone data. By the end of 2022, together with Sber, we are hoping to finalize this project, and from then on we will be able to do the predictions very, very accurately. I think the export potential is very high. There is a lot of interest already, even though this project is still in development. And of course, healthcare, another aspect, another challenge, very pertinent for the Far East. A lot of projects, false limbs, Parkinson's disease. I could talk for hours about it. It's a very interesting, a top priority area for us, and I know that together with Sber we will solve these problems. Thank you, Boris. We have been helping your region, and we will do so in future. There are a lot of projects that we are working on together. I love this project with the tigers that we are saving, that we are preserving. It's great that we now have the tool to optimize the fishing for woolly pollock, a very important species. So a lot of projects around the Far Eastern region, and the ministry has been quite a lot of help. A great advantage, I think, is that you are close to, well, very, very close to China, and the Chinese researchers and scientists. I think for them it would take way less time to get to you, to Vladivostok, than to, say, Moscow, for example. So I think the scientists who are now working in other countries abroad, they could team up with the Chinese scientists, and the Chinese scientists could maybe work on, collaborate with you. Alexander Kuleshov, a question for you. The sustainability agenda means that the progress should not be to the detriment of the environment, and AI is no exception. Skoltech is working at the junction of AI and ESG, and you, specifically, you focus a lot on increasing the efficiency of computing, calculations, and AI. As we know, AI emits a lot of CO2 during its computational operations. That is a big problem. Thanks to the work that you are doing in particular, you could reduce such CO2 emissions from AI and ML. So the question for you is as follows. Artificial intelligence can become even more green, even more environmentally friendly. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's right to say that? I absolutely agree. In order to make AI truly environmentally friendly, we need very good math. At Skoltech, we have 350 people working in AI. Just by way of example, last year, well, annually, we have 23 to 25 papers published in this area, and many of you probably know that. Mr. Vedyakin already started talking about this, so AI and ESG. The ESG topic this year, it got a little bit to the background, I would say. Last year, we saw ESG as carbon credits, carbon neutrality, quotes, penalties, etc. But for our country, that is probably not that relevant at the moment. So carbon quotes, carbon credits persist. They are still very much on the agenda. But at the moment, for our country, for Russia, we see the grave danger of climate change, environmental issues, forest fires, for example. There's recently been this decree by Mr. Chernyshenko, and we've signed this agreement together with the Emergency Ministry on predicting forest fires. We've decided to test our tools. As you probably know, that fires, unfortunately, are not just a Russia problem. California, Portugal, Albania, Greece. So we have done this tool for predicting fires for Albania and Greece. And what are the results? Geometrically speaking, the outcome was 92%. 92% accuracy, with identifying the correct vector of spreading. So the results are good, so good as to say that in practice they could be very much brought to fruition, they could be very much used effectively. And this relates not just to fires. You could look it up online. You could look up how many tall buildings, blocks of flats in the regions affected by firefighters have been demolished, have been damaged. There's nuclear plants, there could be nuclear plants nearby, such as the Bilibinska plant, for example. There are underlying principles for existing tools, existing policies. The government agencies have been using them, but they are not as precise, they're not as accurate without using artificial intelligence methods and classic algorithms based on first principles. Nothing can be done, really, nothing meaningful. We have mentioned the North Sea route and forest fires. We have learned empirically that correct work with data yields a lot of significant results. Mr. Vedyakin started this conversation with increasing energy efficiency of AI. This is a very important topic. We have in tight collaboration with Sber, not just in that area, We have been very much relying on them because the biggest cluster in Russia, way ahead of all its competition, is Christofari supercomputer. And so this partnership with Sber is incredibly important for us. We've managed to bring down 15%. Well, I will not delve into details about the exact metrics. So we are going to bring this reduction by 50%, the power consumption. And this can be done. This is very realistic. We know how to do it. All we need is good, solid math. We're not guided by any illusions, you see. This is artificial intelligence, algebra, tensor, calculations, so robust math, which we should be leveraging. But if we go back to the environment, the ecology, it is obvious that without artificial intelligence, without ML, without combinations of AI and ML with traditional classical methods used by monitoring agencies, nothing can be done.
And the promises, there's a great promise in that. Yeah, thank you very much for that input. We are working together, Skoltech, and you personally inspiring us, and you being an ambassador of AI and its implementation. Now, an additional question related to the talents. You had in Russian newspaper, you had an interesting interview that got a lot of attention, and you were discussing talents there, and we have been talking about that. We hope that the model will be the following, that the Chinese will go to Vladivostok, as for the Far Eastern regions. But what about our regions? How it will be built? What will be the situation with the international lecturers? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but the Chinese will not go, actually. They will go to other countries, to other centers. Because we sent some people for 4 months there, but, you know, there the professor's salaries, the professor in AI salaries start with the $500,000. How can you compete with that? I mean, obviously you have to have homegrown experts. We have, 150 people in AI that want to study AI per year, and we have a competition of 70 students per one seat. And how do you grow them? I mean, we do have a lot of talented youth, but we need to work with that. And I'm going to go back to Sber. We started with contracts, and that was a good idea, actually. Then we, decided to unite teams. Maybe we'll be able to unite in an administrative way, and that's a very important thing, because I'm confident that by merging with large corporations, by using their resources, we'll be able to retain the people. There are no other options. You should not build illusions. Chinese will not come to our country. I mean, why would they? Yeah, I do agree. Sber and Yandex and other corporations are investing in that. Yandex is not a state corporation, but still they're pretty active, and Chinese and Americans, well, yeah, when large corporations invest money, the experts, they do stay, and they drive the science. We're going to discuss that on our main panel discussion that is going to start at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Next question is to Mikhail. One of the SDGs means that the welfare and lifespan of people will increase. The Novosibirsk State University is one of the largest scientific centers in Russia now. We know that you're actually working on the development of AI, and first of all, in healthcare. The initiatives in this area can save the lives of millions of Russians. And for instance, in Russia, almost 4 million people are being tested, are being registered in the oncology centers, and the early detection of cancer helps to improve the lifespan dramatically. So, Mikhail, what do you think? Will AI help us to increase the lifespan of the people? Thank you very much for that, Mr. Vidyakin. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. It's morning in Moscow,
It's evening in Vladivostok. Here in Russia is quite big, you know. So the AI developments emerged in the Novosibirsk academic city from its launch, from the launch of the city, from the launch of the university. We made great contributions in the development of theory of AI. Zhuravlov, Yershov, Goncharov, Zagarbulka, all of these academicians made a great contribution in the development of the theory of AI. I'd like to say that currently the AI developments are being supported by around 30% of our university and 6 faculties and the physics and mathematics school under our university. And we have specialized departments specializing in deep learning and ML. Creating the kind of a core team in AI among the students and professors is one of our top priority items on the agenda. I would like to say that Sber is one of the centers that attracts these experts, and we use AI with the synthesis, AI synthesis in terms of AI. It is a kind of a combined approach to development of AI that will help to create AGI. As for the program of our university, we obviously tailor it for the large technology partners. The instruments, the tools based on the deep neural networks, ML, specializations, and the president of Russia mentioned the use of the neural network technologies for deciphering Tibetan manuscripts. The AI was used for that. Predictive analytics and other AI tools are used for that. Creation of technology processes, online photonics that has been developed in the university quite actively. The prognosis in the economy, the cybersecurity, looking at the graphs and using AI, industrial autonomous robotics, robotized intellectual systems for the disabled people. But I would like to, many other technologies, but I would like to talk about the smart assistants for the doctors, in line with the question that you have posed in the lab, in our ML lab. We have developed an AI technology that helps to draw the contours of the different types of the tumors in the brain for on the MRI scans that helps the surgeons to remove the tumor and to look at the areas that have to be radiated to remove the tumor. We find the boundaries of the tumor, and the AI solution makes it with a higher precision than humans by several fold. The architecture of the algorithm and the training of the algorithm showed greater quality when tested and showed great resilience in terms of the protection from the noise, and we have sustainable answers 92-95% in terms of the diagnostics of the tumor. As for the MRI scans for the 4 major types of tumors of the brain for the patients that were in the sample, that was the improvement rate, 92-95% accuracy rate, and we can use AI for the clinical approbation and the implementation in the hospitals and the neural the hospitals that mostly treat the brain-related problems. We are ready to open an AI Excellence Center together with Sber, and the official letter was signed by me and sent to Mr. Grev, the CEO of Sber. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that input. Novosibirsk is a great city with a huge and very diverse and dynamic, vibrant scientific school. The photonics that you have mentioned is something that is of great interest, I think, because I believe believe that one of the major challenges that AI faces right now is everything related to compute. Compute capacity. Obviously, there are some limitations, and the new opportunities that are being opened before us, like neuromorphic chips and photonics. And you can talk about the quants in this way or another. But anyway, we have discussed that with Skulltech, and we can discuss it with you as well. We're ready for the cooperation, and tomorrow on the main panel we're going to discuss that as well, because the AI without hardware, there's no AI really. I mean, can you say that photonics is hardware? Well, maybe in a way. But anyway, thanks a lot. Moving next question to Eduard. Eduard, one of the goals of sustainable development is related to preserving the ecosystems of the land ecosystem. 80% of all insects and animals live in the forests. According to experts, at the same time, the forests are being lost quicker than they're being restored, and we can restore it. Eduard, will AI help us to save our Siberian forests and these fires that the minister was talking about, and that we all know about because of the news, obviously? I mean, how are we going to face that challenge with AI? Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Rajakin. Hi, everyone. Together with Sberbank, we are addressing this challenge. I would like to thank the Siberian University and you for the creation of the AI Excellence Center in the Siberian region. This center is focusing on the socially important challenges for the Siberian region, and these challenges are in our priority list, and we are investing quite a lot to develop along these lines. The first answer is related to your question, by the way. We're talking about the forecasting of the fires, the forest fires, and we have created the models and the algorithms and the technologies, computer vision for the sat-nav images, scans, using the predictive analytics to forecast the developments in the forests. And AI helped to decrease the number of cases of forest fires manyfold, and it's been monitored online. One of the big swamps that we have in Siberia, it is a huge nature collider, whole ecosystem. It's a kind of a cooling system, really, and at the same time, it's one of the largest turf swamp that can, if dried, catch fire, and that would mean a lot of CO2 emissions, and that would be a catastrophe that would be on a global scale, and therefore researching this ecosystem and searching for the tools that are based on the current the technology tools that we have is a strategic task to save the life on the planet. And another top priority are the social aspects of AI implementation, because we understand that in line with the new industrial revolution, the application of the technologies is done much quicker than understanding the consequences of such applications. And together with this Excellence Center, we are working on the legal and ethical things related to that, together with the university and together with the civil organizations of Novosibirsk. We have joined the AI ethics code developed by Sber, because without that serious foundation, it may lead to major skews in terms of the sustainable development, the AI applications. Thank you very much for giving me the word. Thank you very much for that insights, and it's great that you talked about the ethics, because the ethics of AI, this is great, and it's great that in Tomsk the universities signed this ethics code, because our students who study AI, they must understand that AI should follow the borders of humans and follow the principles that humans put into it, because AI is first of all an assistant. And it should meet the proper ethical principles. And it's great that you are moving ahead in terms of the turf swamps. I remember it was a major problem in Moscow in 2010. Everything there was on fire, and all Moscow was in smoke. It was impossible to breathe. And yeah, I do agree with the ethics, by the way. The rectors of the leading universities in the Siberian region are following that, because ethical criteria should be implemented in the education process, because on the current stage of the development of the civilization, the ethics is becoming a cornerstone of the history of our civilization, and it should pave the way for the further development of technologies. Yes, absolutely. And as for the ethics, we have interesting statistics. Russia in 1 year. Actually, tomorrow we are going to have new organizations join in the ethics code, and we will have, by the end of the conference, we'll have more than 120 participants of the code of ethics in AI. They will join this code. And actually, if you look on Russia, Russia is the leader in this area. And it is great. We are one of the leaders in terms of AI development, and therefore AI ethics is one of the topics that we drive. And actually, all the participants are always talking about Sber. Sber is everywhere, but it's really kind of unfair, because I know that yes, we work a lot together, but I know that VK, Yandex, Rosatom, and many other corporations are making great contributions in AI development, and they invest a lot in AI. They drive the AI, and one of the venues for AI development is a university city which is called Innopolis, and this is our other partner, Alexander. The question for you: one of the goals of the sustainable development is the creation of safe and secure and environmentally friendly cities. This agenda is going higher on the agenda. By 2030, there will be more than 5 billion people living in urban centers. So the majority of the population of the Earth will live in huge urban centers. Innopolis is studying AI, ESG, and driverless transport. As far as I remember, it is in Innopolis that first saw the driverless Yandex taxi cars, and then this was rolled out across Moscow in one of the central regions or districts of Moscow. And you work on improving the lives of citizens in the cities. Now the question is to you: many live in huge urban centers. How do you think AI will improve and change the life of someone living in the urban area? Alexander, we do not hear you. Unfortunately, there's no sound. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, great. Innopolis is a young university. In 2 days, we will mark a 10-year anniversary, but we still receive the congrats. Now we're working on the environment in the urban centers and how people are going to live there. Our project is focused on the environmental monitoring using AI. For instance, looking at the construction of the unauthorized buildings within an urban center, or looking at the cars parked at the lawns. We also use sat-nav images and scans and photographs, and scan it with AI. We have the knowledge about the transportation flows, and we use this knowledge to feed the AI. And the classical areas that we focus on is the driverless transport within urban centers and around them. There are taxi drivers who sometimes, and truck drivers who work for more than 18 hours per day, and obviously that's not safe. The driverless technology will help to improve the safety and the traffic load of the transportation system. It will help to decrease the number of incidents, accidents, and improve the safety as well as the environment.
Another interesting example for a non-typical use of AI in an urban setting, we have this project where we have developed an assistant for taking exams in driving. Exams for your knowledge of driving rules and regulations. This is also a tool for assessing the traffic on the road. So we have this simulation of a car where you're driving a car, and the system can do the controlling. It's also a tool for recognizing the faces of the people who are taking exams, because sometimes some people ask someone else to take an exam for them. We are in the middle of certifying this tool, and we hope that very soon we'll be able to roll it out, and more people will access the functionality of taking an exam with this AI-based tool. The Innopolis University is setting up this new initiative with AIJ, the Artificial Intelligence Research Institute. This research will be at the crossroads between neural network technology and quantum physics. We're going to talk more about this project on day 2 of AI Journey. And speaking of new research, last year our university participated in this project challenge, the challenge of developing a solution for CO2 emission reduction. We came second. We proposed a solution for reducing CO2. And we have been looking for new materials for a new type of battery, lithium-ion batteries. For using it for somewhat unorthodox purposes. And as for social responsibility, we have been leveraging newest technology to help people with increasing their lifespan and with their healthcare, and also a tool for health and safety at manufacturing facilities, where we could do the monitoring of a whole range of aspects that could harm people. This is done to prevent 100% of health and safety incidents. We are moving into the future, whether we like it or not. I hope I have managed to present at least some of the things, the projects and initiatives that we're doing at the university. We have inherited some problems from before, but we hope that we could leverage these tools to solve them. Thank you, Alexander. As for these new materials that you're working on, the materials that do not exist in nature, but that can be created with AI, this is a big topic. We will get back to this topic tomorrow at the big panel session. There is a lot of promise in these developments and innovations, and it is always fascinating when a new material is created. Graphene, I think it took around 10 years to develop it, but we know that there are cases where new materials are created in 6 to 8 months. So the acceleration is incredible, it's through the roof, and also healthcare, as you said, could benefit quite a lot from these tools. Very interesting, fascinating research. We are also happy to be your partner. We're happy to see that Innopolis is this platform where a lot of researchers from all across the country can experiment and put the experiments to practice. We have a bit more than 10 minutes left. So a question to all of you, 1 minute each. You have each talked about these ambitious goals and projects. That sounds great. But we actually have a pretty representative quorum at this session. We have people from the government, from the academic community. So maybe we could devise this common project that we could maybe implement within the next 1 or 2 years. So once again, 1 minute each. I would ask Alexei to speak last as a minister, to maybe sum up this brief discussion. So what do you think these initiatives could be? Let's start once again with Vyacheslav. What do you think this common project could be of interest to all of us? It's true, it's been a great discussion. I've heard about a lot of great solutions. I think we should adopt a systemic approach. I think we are lacking a database, an AI database of examples of AI use cases in practice. It would be great to have this maybe common database that you could refer to look up solutions, tools, projects that researchers, someone else are working on. I think that could be very useful, and it can be done. It's realistic. We have a lot of teams. We just need to coordinate the efforts, and there you have it. It will be done. Thank you. I've taken that down for further discussions with ministries. Boris, what do you think? I think there is a very good idea that many people throughout the discussion mentioned: the promotion of AI, popularization of AI with the younger audience, with students, school students, especially given the relevance of AI challenges, and also the fact that this is the decade of tech and innovative development. So, as Alexander said, we should not really count on guaranteed partnership with Chinese researchers. So we should probably instead do something on our own, start developing our own initiative, maybe some program on the platform of different universities, creating a network of programs, departments at universities. So I'm talking about this community that would be promoting AI, that would be developing standards for popularization of AI with students. I think that could be very useful, and that would help us retain students in our universities. Thank you, Boris. Great idea. Alexander, what do you think? You are on mute. My apologies. We all know this, but we rarely speak about this. So I will be the first to say it. The country is experiencing this huge technological gap, I think. There are classical methods, development methods used across the globe. They are drifting towards artificial intelligence. The models that are based on AI, which do the scoping with classical methods, classical techniques. I think we need cooperation to develop a production complex in design, in development, because this is where we are lagging behind, I think. The future is not very bright, I'm afraid, in that regard. The means that we've been importing from Western countries, from our counterparts abroad, I don't think we could count on those anytime soon. So we need this cooperation, not just to reproduce what we have been doing, but to create something new in development and design. We have the foundation for that. The world has been doing this for 20 years, and we can truly accelerate. What we need now is cooperation for designing AI, for processing, for industries. I completely agree, Alexander. There is a huge challenge, and as we are losing our foreign counterparts, this is an increasingly significant challenge that we need to deal with as soon as possible. Mikhail, what would you suggest? My idea perhaps is not as ambitious and large-scale as the other panelists said, but this latest generation of neural networks use data sets of up to several petabytes. The data sets come from abroad. They are based on data in English, so for tech sovereignty, we need our own data sets of comparable scale. And of course, that would necessitate collaboration of universities to create such data sets, and that could be a pillar underpinning our digitization national strategy. Thank you. Good idea. A data set is necessary. We have talked to universities about this and to government officials. The Ministry of Economic Development, of Digital Development, are very much interested in this, and we also see demand for this in the industry. So I think this is a challenge that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Without the data sets, we will not make much progress. Eduard, what do you think? I think on the short-term horizon, we could do something with research related to this Northern Sea route, logistics, economics of it, liquefied natural gas, transportation. We need technology for these projects, but that would be for the midterm, for the long term. As for the short term, I think the labor market is something that we could improve. A lot of shifts and transformations in the economy, a lot of retraining, professional development. We are one of the operators in the National Demographic Retraining Program. We see that there are no tools in the country for development of relevant skills for better adjustments to the new labor market. We have been developing a tool like that. So a tool for headhunter, for reskilling, and readjusting the system of professional development and retraining. I think this is highly pertinent throughout the country, and I think this is something that we could do together next year. Thank you. I agree. Retraining, professional development is a significant challenge, and I'm sure that tomorrow we will have to go back to this topic. Without retraining, the shortage of talent will be especially difficult. Alexander, and then Mr. Minister. I think we need to leverage our new methods to create the tools and solutions that we were not able to using our traditional methods, creating new materials, as we said. So we can indeed leverage AI to solve math problems that are relevant for AI development itself. So we could use AI to develop AI more effectively. I think this is a topic that holds much promise, and I think this is something that could give us the benefit of a quantum leap, so to speak, in AI development. Thank you. Agreed. Moving on. Alexei, what do you think should be the next big federal project in this area? And maybe just a quick summary at the end of our discussion. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for this great panel session. I loved all the ideas. All these ideas really resonate with me. When asked to summarize them, I'd have to say that I understand that AI is a mechanism, is a tool, and there could be two goals that we could pursue. Logistics is one of them. We live in the biggest country in the world, and the transport of people and goods across the country. It has an impact on everything, on whether we have food to eat, whether we can heat up our flats. And considering the fundamental changes that we've been undergoing this year, these changes in the transportation routes and the logistic routes across the country is very, very relevant. And the other one is people. I'm not sure anyone has ever tried this, and I think Sber could be the first one to try, and this is where we absolutely need AI. I am talking about analyzing all kinds of aspects of human capital in Russia. 42 million pensioners in Russia. How many people are working in the commercial center or in state-subsidized institutions, etc., etc. We've been using the impetus of our natural resources, but it's clear that 10 to 20 years from now, this energy, this impetus, and the potential of the human capital would probably be the only pillars that could support the development of our country. So this is the time for us to analyze the human capital, this important pillar that could be one of the vectors that could define the vector of development of Russia. Thank you very much, Mr. Vedekhin, for organizing this great discussion and for all your work in this area. Thank you, Alexei. I also thank all the panelists. I hope you have a great day, a great evening, interesting trips. I wish you the best of luck. And once again, I just wanted to reiterate that it is interesting and it is useful what you're doing. Sber has been helping you, other corporations have been helping you. We have all your ideas, all your thoughts written down here, and we would be happy to follow up on all these ideas, and I hope we will accomplish a lot thanks to you. Thank you again. Best of luck. Great day. I also wanted to thank the speakers for this optimistic start of day one of the conference. So we have tried to inspire tens of thousands of researchers and scientists to do even more in AI and ML. We are going to have this junior track and one more fascinating discussion with Mr. Vedekhin and young researchers who, despite their age, have already created a number of advanced tech solutions. Our country has always been famous for its scientists. We could list projects and initiatives for hours. AIJ is this platform that has been a landmark event in the calendar industry for several years now. We have 50 plus companies, institutions at the conference for more than 130 presentations. More than 150 speakers will present their research and innovations in AI. We will also hear from tech centers in AI that will discuss the potential of AI and ML to solve global challenges. The conference of this scale would be impossible without our partners. The Russian Direct Investment Fund is the official partner of the forum. Acting as a sovereign wealth fund of Russia, RDIF is one of the main development institutions fostering projects and initiatives in AI, acting based on an agreement with the Russian government. The fund invests and attracts investments from its partners in Russia and abroad to finance companies that specialize in AI. We also have two partners of our business program. ML Space is a Russian platform for full-cycle ML development and collaboration of DS teams in the cloud and on-premise. ML Space radically decreases the time to market of machine learning models and saves up to 30% of data scientists' working time. VS Robotics is a brand of the active business consult company, which is part of the Sber ecosystem. ABC is an accredited IT company, and it is included in the list. It is included on the list of systemic organizations operating in the field of information technology. The VS Robotics team creates advanced IT solutions in the field of speech technology and AI that help businesses reduce the cost of communication with customers, increase workflow efficiency, while being easily customizable. Moving on to our Keynote Talks. In order to get from point A to point B, we use, the GPS navigation. GPS works based on AI, and in particular, natural language processing.
These technologies are very much in demand in different industries, from searching the news and the social networks based on hashtags to the recognition of spam. The application fields grow in Athena Sber. Enjoy, by the way, are NLP-based assistants of Sber. They use NLP for the answers to reply and to react on the voice request. The combination of many technologies help the algorithms to process the text and the voice and analyze the sentiment of those who write and talk. All this opens great opportunities for creation of the useful and high-tech solutions in different areas, including in psychology. And it is my great pleasure to give the floor to our next speaker, Dr. Pushpak Bhattacharya, the professor of the Computer Science and Engineering of the Technology Institute in Bombay. For a long time, he has been analyzing the sentiment and emotions using NLP for the monitoring of the psychological health.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. This is Professor Pushpak Bhattacharya from Computer Science and Engineering Department, IIT, Bombay. I am a professor of Computer Science and Engineering, specializing in natural language processing, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. I am very thankful to the organizers of AI Journey Conference for giving me this opportunity of presenting our work on natural language processing and its impact on society. We will focus on sentiment, emotion analysis, and bias detection, and their application on mental health monitoring by making use of natural language processing and machine learning. Proceeding forward, I would like to recite to you a poem that I composed on the interaction between science and engineering. The poem goes as follows. Scientists ask why. Engineers ask why not. Scientists wonder at what is. Engineers wonder what could be. World couldn't do without either. Scientists study, engineers make, and ever the twain shall meet. The meaning of this poem must be clear to everybody. What it emphasizes is that a continuous interaction and collaboration and exchange is needed between science, which emphasizes foundation, and engineering, which emphasizes use, utility, and impact. Proceeding forward, our topic today is making use of sentiment emotion analysis by artificial intelligence onto health monitoring, mental health monitoring. Now, there is a critical need, there's a real need for such an support from artificial intelligence. we have a very long-standing work on sentiment and emotion analysis since the year 2000. Complex problems like sarcasm and thwarting, which really challenge the field of natural language processing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, have been investigated deeply by us. All over the world, the study says there are about 970 million cases of mental or neural disorders. Approximately 14.3% deaths in the world, which numbers about 8 million, are related to mental health. Now, this problem needs medical attention, but sadly, the ratio of psychiatrists to patients is only 1 is to 100,000, which is an extremely difficult and challenging situation. Support seekers who are suffering from mental problems often seek emotional support on text-based peer-to-peer support platforms. So there are a number of such platforms studied by us where we have seen mental health patients exchange information and would like to share their happiness, their sorrow, their sadness, and their anxiety. Now, on these platforms, if there is an AI agent available, which acts like an agony aunt, it just supports, provides some positive thoughts. It is of great help to mental health patients. And such a support requires natural language processing. Now we understand that in this world, empathy plays a very critical role, a very essential part in interactions and in the smooth running of society. In 2009, Brain said, empathy is the ability of an individual to understand another person's mental state in terms of emotions, feelings, and thoughts, which is important for an effective interpersonal interaction. I just read the whole quote to understand the importance of empathy. Now, empathy cuts across life's activities. We see the importance of empathy everywhere in customer interaction, in mental health support, in teacher-student interactions, in employer-employee relationships, superior-subordinate relationships. Everywhere there are two or more human beings interacting, empathy plays an extremely important role. Now we come to the technique which is used for giving such AI support. The technique is natural language processing. Natural language processing is the art, science, and technique of making computers understand and generate language. Natural language processing is for a long time understood to be a layered processing. So there are layers of morphology, power-to-speech tagging, chunking, parsing, semantics, going all the way up to discourse and co-reference and pragmatics. These layers make natural language processing an extremely challenging, interesting, and impactful task. We begin with the problem of breaking a word into its parts and obtaining the features which are encoded in the word. For example, the word quickly is an adverb and it has two parts, quick and ly. Ly indicates that it is an adverb and quickly itself indicates it is a manner of doing something. Now, natural language processing also is at least a three-dimensional activity where we have in focus a particular problem, for example, question answering or machine translation. And this problem could be for a set of languages which is shown on the x-axis, and we have to design the algorithms for solving this problem. Now, this view, the three-dimensional view of natural language processing is reflected in all the layers of natural language processing. For example, parsing could be required, for example, for question answering or for sentiment analysis, where we need to know the phrases and the word relationships which exist within the text. Proceeding forward, there are these three dimensions of natural language processing, namely language, content, and emotion. A piece of text which is coherent often has important content which the listener or the reader is interested in. The content also must resonate in terms of empathy with the listener or reader. There should be a connect between the speaker and the listener, and that would lead to effective communication. We know that difference in language can lead to communication barrier, but it is also true that even if the two persons are speaking the same language, if their empathy levels don't match, then the communication would again break down. Now, the main problem in natural language processing is that language is inherently ambiguous. Here, I give an example of two ladies interacting with each other on WhatsApp. The platform is WhatsApp, where we know that the communication necessarily is short. There are two ladies who are English educated, but they are native speakers of an Indian language, which is called Bengali. Bengali has huge speaker population. It ranks 7th in the world in terms of speaker population. Now, Lady A writes to Lady B, yesterday you told me about a shop that sells artificial jewelry. Then she switches to Ki Naam Jano, which is a Bengali string which says, what did you say the name was? The Lady B then just replies very crisply, NYKAA. Then Lady A surprisingly becomes offended and says, what do you mean, madam? Is this the way to talk? Lady B says, Kano ki holo, which is a Bengali string again and means why, what happened. But Lady A seemed to be very angry. She doesn't come back. She doesn't reply. Now, what is the problem in this situation? Why did the communication break? The reason is that NYKAA, which was the answer by Lady B, is the name of a fashion industry which is doing extremely well in terms of business. And this word happens to be homonymous. That means it has the same sound as a Bengali word which is derogatory, and that word is naka. So because of this confluence of sound between these two words, Lady A misunderstands and Lady B has not provided much context. She just wrote NYKAA. So that led to the breakage of communication, Lady A becoming angry. Here there is a very interesting computational and linguistic problem underlying. What has happened is that NYKAA is ambiguous because of the mixing of two languages, Hindi and Bengali. We see a proper noun being confused with an adjective from Bengali. It is the name of an industry and it is confused with a Bengali word. So that is what leads to the breakage of communication and ambiguity. So this example is used to illustrate the fact that we actually have a system which is both robust and brittle at the same time. There are always chances of miscommunication because of ambiguity and because of empathy mismatch, because of sentiment emotion mismatch. And there, the help from computation, natural language processing, machine learning could be important. We define sentiment analysis as a 5-tuple EFSHT, where there is an entity E involved. We are interested in a particular feature F of the entity. The sentiment on that particular feature of the entity E is of importance. The sentiment or the opinion is held by a person H at a time T. Now, this is a 5-tuple definition where the most important entity is the third entity S. And all other components of this tuple are important as far as the question of who is holding an opinion about what on which feature of that entity at what time can be answered. Now, in this analysis of sentiment and emotion, we often make use of a particular framework called Plutchik wheel of emotion. Plutchik was a very famous psychologist who gave this nice framework for describing emotions and their interactions. In this diagram, we see concentric circles. The innermost circle, then there are 3 circles which surround it. Plutchik proposed that the whole emotional spectrum of human beings can be described in terms of 8 basic emotions. They are anticipation, joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, and anger. Now, when we move towards the outer periphery of these circles, we have less intensity of emotion. For example, for anger, the less intense form is annoyance. Now, when we move towards the inner circle, the intensity increases, and the correct word to describe that emotion is rage. Similarly, joy is the basic emotion. A less intense form is serenity, and a more intense form is ecstasy. So this is a nice framework to capture the intensity of emotions. And then we see combination of emotion. For example, joy and trust together give rise to the emotion of love. So between every 2 petal, we have a combination emotion, which is resulting from the interaction of 2 basic emotions. Now, it is becoming more and more prevalent these days to use this framework, the Plutchik's wheel of emotion, to undertake intricate study in automatic analysis of emotions. We need a framework after all, and Plutchik's wheel of emotion provides that. Another important dimension today is the use of multimodality. Emotion analysis, sentiment analysis is increasingly making use of multimodality, which is the signal from text, speech, and picture, all the 3 modes. We look at this picture here, which is an interesting one. Look at the face of the lady. It is very clear that the lady has negative emotion, but the words are positive. Ooh, wow, well done. So clearly, the lady is not meaning what she says. Otherwise, her body language would be very different. So this is an example of what is called sarcasm, which is a very difficult phenomenon in sentiment and emotion analysis. Computers are yet to crack the full problem of sarcastic sentences and the emotion of sarcasm, which is a negative emotion. There is another example. We also see the interaction between a passenger and a chatbot. The passenger says, "Thank you for sending me to Delhi and my luggage to Mumbai. Brilliant service." Now, Delhi and Mumbai are 2 different places, and the passenger going to Delhi and the luggage landing in Mumbai is not a happy situation. It is not an expected situation. So here also it is clear that the passenger is being sarcastic, and the chatbot does not catch this sarcasm. It says, "Thank you for the appreciation." which will definitely increase the anger of the passenger. So here we mention sarcasm because we find that mental health patients often hold a lot of negative emotion inside themselves, which they express through sarcastic statements and sarcastic gestures. So that is why we would like to understand how computationally we can deal with sarcasm, and we have our own research in this area. Now, definitely the use of empathy is important because it reduces communication barrier, and we have been able to create multilingual chatbots which produce more empathetic outputs. So, for example, if the generic response from a chatbot is "How can we help?", our system can introduce polite phrases to make these generic responses more pleasant for the human user. So here, for example, "How can we help?" is embellished with politeness phrases like "Help has arrived. We are sorry to see that you are having trouble. How can we help?" So this is more pleasant to a human user. It gives more assurance that there is somebody to help, there is somebody who is sympathetic to the human being's situation. Now, all this research we have been doing is in our laboratory, which is called Center for Indian Language Technology, a part of the Computer Science and Engineering Department in IIT Bombay. This has been in existence since 2000. And many different problems of natural language processing have been investigated there. Now we take up the specific problem of sarcasm detection, which we feel is an essential application to help patients with mental health problem through some form of AI agent. Now, sarcasm detection is indeed a sub-problem of sentiment and emotion analysis. Sentiment analysis we have already defined through a 5-tuple definition, but informally, this is the task of identifying if a piece of text has positive or negative emotion or opinion or sentiment content in it. Now, the NLP trinity, which was discussed some time back in terms of problem, language, and algorithm combination, is hereby shown as augmented by another dimension, the 4th dimension, which is called the human cognition axis. In this scenario, we have problem, algorithm, and language combination, but we also introduce the cognitive aspects in the problem to help detect the sentiment, emotion, and opinion. Now, sentiment, emotion, opinion, of course, have to deal with the difficult problems like sarcasm, irony, and so on. And we have used in our lab eye tracking devices to capture the cognitive signals. And we have been able to show that machine learning models get enriched by eye tracking signals and do their job better because of this enrichment. Now, sarcasm is a word whose etymology is the following. It comes from the Greek word sarkasmos, which means to tear flesh with teeth. And the corresponding Sanskrit etymology is vakrokti, which means a twisted utterance. So these Greek and Sanskrit definitions clearly identify 2 properties of sarcastic sentences. 1, sarcasm is meant to injure. It is meant to hurt. Sarcastic sentences always hurt because of their negative emotional content. And the Sanskrit word vakrokti means that sarcastic sentences always have a twisted form. What we see on the surface is not what actually is. The surface form is different from the deeper form. Now, sarcasm is a form of irony, which actually means the meaning is opposite of what is on the surface. And so irony is a very important form of natural language communication, where the two parties involved in the communication have to apply really intelligent machinery to understand what is going on in the communication situation. An allied concept, which is opposite of sarcasm, we call it humble bragging. For example, if somebody says, "Oh, my life is miserable, I have to sign 500 autographs every day." So is the person really saying his or her life is miserable? Maybe the person is bragging about his or her situation. Now, the point here is that both humble bragging and sarcasm are ironical. Fundamentally, they're ironical in nature, which means there is a basic incongruity, basic inconsistency somewhere, because of which these phenomena are arising. And computationally, we try to track that inconsistency or incongruity and create an algorithm out of this phenomenon to handle sarcasm. Now, the types of sarcasm which have been studied in cognitive science, psychology are the following: propositional, where the sarcastic sentence is understood from the context to be sarcastic. For example, the sentence, "This looks like a perfect plan," could be both sarcastic or a sincere statement, depending on the context. The embedded sarcasm does not need to look at the context. The incongruity or inconsistency is contained within the sentence itself. "I love being ignored" is a sentence where we have incongruity in the form of love and ignore being present together in the same sentence. Then there is like prefixed sarcasm, where phrases like you care, which is a sarcastic phrase, is added to the main content of the text. And elocutionary is a multimodal signal for sarcasm, where we see a particular image and a piece of text, and they are in incongruity with respect to each other. So we studied all kinds of sarcasm. For example, propositional sarcasm is studied in the dialogue context, and embedded sarcasm is studied in the context of individual pieces of text. Elocutionary is multimodal sarcasm detection. Now, elocutionary sarcasm is illustrated through this picture, where the lady has negative body language and positive piece of text. Now, when we undertook the study of sarcasm, we were actually motivated by a particular observation. We took two well-known sentiment analysis systems, and we applied these sentiment analysis systems on well-known data, both on tweets and on normal text, conversational transcript. And we found that the precision value becomes about half when we deal with sarcastic sentences. On a piece of normal text, the precision value could be about 50, for example, for conversational transcripts, and the accuracy falls to about 20 for the tool meaning cloud. Tweets are more difficult pieces of text, and there again, from 50, the accuracy falls to about 17 when the tweets are sarcastic. So this told us that we have to deal with this phenomenon using different machinery. We need more power in the modeling of the phenomena. Now, we also observed that sarcastic sentences often have extra linguistic clues, like use of laughter expression, "haha, you are very smart," and there is an emoticon, cross and D. "Your intelligence astounds me, LOL, laugh out loud." Or, heavy use of punctuation, "protein shake for dinner," 2 exclamation, "great," 3 exclamation, and so on. You could also have capital letter throughout, okay, and interjections like "yay, yay." So we could see that sarcastic sentences often are accompanied by this kind of signals, and it is important to capture them when we build models for handling them computationally. So this kind of signals are present, but our contribution was that we traced sarcasm to the phenomenon of incongruity. Incongruity is the crux of the matter. So when I say I love being ignored, love and ignore are incongruous with respect to each other for their simultaneous presence in the sentence. There is something unusual here. 3 a.m. at work, that is not a very happy situation if somebody is forced to work at 3 a.m. in the morning. But the person is saying yay, yay, which is an expression of joy. So a negative situation co-occurring with a joyous expression again signals that something is abnormal about this, and this indeed is a sarcastic sentence. So we saw that in almost all situations of sarcasm, it is incongruity which is at play, and therefore we designed algorithms to capture this incongruity, the mechanism of which I'll describe in a few minutes. Now, we could see from our study as well as from the inputs coming from existing literature, there are two kinds of incongruity. Explicit incongruity is overtly expressed. I love being ignored. Here the incongruity is explicit, love and ignore. Implicit incongruity is when there is a covertly expressed incongruity. I love this paper so much that I made a doggy bag out of it. So a research paper, which becomes a doggy bag is not a happy situation, but there is the word love. So this shows that there is something incongruous in the situation, and therefore this is a sarcastic situation. Sarcasm can also be created by sense ambiguity. It is an interesting and very difficult natural language processing because the two senses of the word are such that when we latch onto one sense, the sentence is normal. When we take the other sense of the word, it is a sarcastic sentence. For example, for the first sentence, oh, it is so nice of you to give me a ring early in the morning. If the word ring means a ring, an ornament which we wear, then it is not a sarcastic sentence. But if ring means a telephone call, then receiving a telephone call early in the morning, breaking the sleep, is not a happy situation. So that could be a sarcastic sentence. So this is an interesting and complex problem where word senses being different give rise to sarcasm. Now, we have been able to capture incongruity computationally, and this was reported in top NLP conferences, and it was also covered in MIT Technology Review, which tries to keep track of interesting developments in science, technology, humanities, and so on, and try to report them. Now, this particular paper or work is on a very simple idea of how to capture the very difficult phenomenon of incongruity. So we do sarcasm detection using different signals coming from the text. Of course, the first set of signals are the normal natural language processing and sentiment analysis signals. So lexical features, which are unigrams or single words, they have proven to be extremely powerful and very important. They're indispensable in natural language processing. So we make use of words in the sentences, which are unigrams. Then there are pragmatic signals like capitalization, emoticon, punctuation mark, etc., which have been proven to be useful in basic sentiment and emotion analysis. We retain them. Then for incongruity, we make use of lexical resources and another idea based on word vectors, which I will touch upon very soon. These are implicit and explicit incongruities, which we capture through the text and through dictionaries, lexicon, etc. So these features are aggregated for doing sarcasm detection. The data sets were standard data sets based on tweets and discussions. And we showed through our experiments that we are able to better the state of the art in terms of precision recall and F-score values. as we can see in all text forms like tweet A, tweet B, and discussion A, everywhere we have got better figures because we are able to handle incongruity through very innovative means. Now, how is the incongruity actually captured? We gave a very simple solution. It is by making use of word vectors and their cosine similarity. Let us look at an example here. A man needs a woman like a fish needs bicycle. Now, in this sentence, the word like is a preposition. And the linguistic property of the preposition is such that whatever is to the left of like should have similar properties as the piece of text which is to the right of like. Now, we take the word vectors of man and woman, and we find the cosine similarity to be 0.766, which is a pretty high value. We take the word vectors of fish and bicycle, the cosine similarity is just 0.131. Now, this violates the property of similarity of properties to the right and left of the preposition like. So this is therefore a good signal for capturing incongruity, and we make use of this for designing our algorithms. We also were sensitive to the fact that the distance between the words whose cosine similarity is being computed also plays a role. The distance between man and woman also has an effect on detecting the sarcasm. So we made use of the distance between the words in question and weighted them when we computed the similarity, and these actually yielded better results. So the experiment was done on, again, standard data sets, and the results are shown here. We have seen from the figures that we are able to get better results than state of the art. The letters L, G, B, and J indicate 4 pieces of work which were established and which were reported when we made use of weighted similarity of word vectors and captured incongruity. We could obtain better figures than those reported in these 4 papers. For example, for L, in the first row, we have obtained figures in the range of 80 compared to 75, which L reported. And this held true for different embeddings like LSA, globe, dependency weights, and word to wake. Everywhere, we could obtain better figures by capturing incongruity in a very effective way. We could also see such values, improved values in all kinds of data, and which sort of established the fact that to detect sarcasm, we must track incongruity and measure incongruity and use this as a feature for machine learning models. From our study of sarcasm, we move to numerical sarcasm, which is a specific kind of sarcasm and is a very difficult problem once again. Let me give some example. If we have this sentence, this phone has an awesome battery backup of 38 hours. This is non-sarcastic, positive sentiment statement. This phone has a terrible battery backup of 2 hours. This is non-sarcastic and a negative opinion. The third sentence is, this phone has an awesome battery backup of 2 hours. Here, we are apparently praising the phone, but not really, because a backup of only 2 hours is a negative situation. The word awesome is a positive sentiment bearing word. So again, positive and negative coming together in the same utterance or sentence indicates sarcasm. Now, an interesting question arises here at this point. Why do people use sarcasm when they can be direct and plain with respect to making the negative sentiment sentence? The reason could be dramatization. People love dramatizing their utterances for better impact, for better reaching their listeners. Forceful articulation is also a need, but a more intriguing possibility is that sarcasm first lowers the defense and then attacks. It is an attack in deception. When we hear a positive sentiment-bearing word, we expect a praise, and therefore we become receptive to the communication which is coming forth. But then comes the negative sentiment-bearing words or phrases, and that hurts us more. So this is another interesting proposition which should be investigated further for both computation as well as cognitive science. Now, on numerical data set, we performed our experiments based on incongruity, and the data sets which are shown here are again standard data sets. And they are also data sets such that there are different kinds of skewness in the data. Somewhere it is well balanced, in other places, one class is much bigger than the other class, where algorithm design becomes more difficult. For example, in data set 3 and data set in the test data set, we see that the numerical sarcastic data is much, much smaller than non-numeric and non-sarcastic data. So this actually challenged the machine learning models quite well, and we could design robust systems. Now, first we tried to use rule-based system, where we had data with this kind of labeling. Test tweet, if I have a test tweet, I love writing this paper at 9 a.m. and I have to determine if this tweet is sarcastic or not. Now, I find a matching sarcastic tweet, at least approximately matching sarcastic tweet, which says, I love writing this paper daily at 3 a.m. Now, 9 a.m. is distant, quote unquote, distant from 3 a.m., and therefore it is not a sarcastic sentence. Take another example. I am so productive when my room is 81 degrees. This is the test tweet. The matched non-sarcastic tweet is I am very much productive in my room, as it has only 21 degrees. Now 21 and 81 again has distance between them. So the test tweet is sarcastic. Because the normal sentence is, the matched sentence is non-sarcastic, distance is large, so to say, and therefore the test sentence is sarcastic. Now the rule-based system, the problem is that this large or small distance is very ad hoc. So we need to make this more principled through data. So we resorted to classical machine learning algorithms, and we made use of support vector machine, k nearest neighbor, random forest, which are established machine learning algorithms. And we also made use of various emotion level features, punctuation features, and then we could get a system based on classical machine learning, where the F score was 0.83, which is very decent, but it is not very much ahead of the performance from the rule-based approach. So clearly this use of classical machine learning depended on careful feature engineering, clever feature engineering. So we decided to make use of an end-to-end system in the form of deep learning. So in deep learning, we know that there is very little feature engineering, but we need huge amount of data. So we made use of deep learning in the form of convolutional neural network and the word embeddings. And we could make use of a very standard architecture where the CNN is followed by a fully connected, also called the dense neural network or feed-forward network. And here, the accuracy was obtained as about 90%. Okay, this was about 10 points improvement over classical machine learning and rule-based machine learning. However, this again was a nice study into a very difficult problem of natural language processing, emotion analysis, namely sarcasm, which arises out of numbers. So now we come to the application of all these foundational work on sentiment, emotion, sarcasm, etc. to mental health monitoring using natural language processing. We have already underlined the importance of use of AI because of scalability. The ratio of a psychiatrist to patient is really very low, 1 in 100,000. And many deaths are due to mental health problems. And I spent some time, quite a lot of time, on sarcasm, because this sarcasm is a vehicle for expressing negative emotion, which is the case with many mental health patients. So this work was reported in top natural language processing conference, and was surely motivated by mental illness, ubiquitous mental illness problem, lack of mental health professionals. And we needed high quality data, of course, which is a challenge. Therefore, we ourselves created some data. So our contributions in this work has been 2 data sets, a model, and a generation of sentiment-driven response. So here, these data sets are of the order of about 5,000 instances of data. And these conversations amount to a total of 18,000 utterances between depressed users and a virtual assistant imparting appropriate suggestion, hope, and motivation. Similar is the case with the dataset Council VA, which deals with 3 categories of mental disorder: major depressive disorder, anxiety, and obsessive compulsive disorder. So this study was undertaken with with data which is shown here. Some examples are shown here. For example, a person called Unwanted. This is a pseudonym, not the actual name. My 17-year-old son got mad, so it is spelled wrongly, and throw something at me. I did not call the police. This is the complaint this person is making. And the virtual assistant, which is giving some positive, statements to comfort the patient, says, "You are not a bad person. You did what you felt was best for you and your son." So these kind of sentences are generated by the AI agent. The challenge here is to understand the situation appropriately and generate the correct response, which will not further agonize the patient, but it will give hope and comfort for the patient. So this was possible through our system, which is based on neural network. And this machine has been trained by the kind of data I showed. It correctly classified the disorder into the classes of anxiety, MDD, and so on. And we could measure the accuracy of the correct response, because before giving the correct response to the patient, you need to identify the problem accurately. And here, the accuracy of about 40% in the F score is not bad. And the proposed model actually also reaches a value of about 56%, which is the best figure in terms of classifying this kind of mental disorders. And the response generation is also sufficiently good, which is measured in terms of blue score, perplexity, etc., which are established metrics. So we continued this work for more mental distress and more mental problems. I will not have time to go into those, but we were basing our work on the theory of Carl Jung, who is a celebrated psychologist. We took Jung's theory and used MBTI categorization of different personality types, and we wanted to track it to the suicide notes of patients computationally. And this also was reported in top-level fora. And this work again is quite advanced in terms of, and quite progressive in terms of making use of NLP in personality type detection and proposing the propensity and detecting the propensity of suicide. All right, so these were different tasks in the space of mental health, which I do not have time to go into, but the use of NLP has been very, very effective and has been studied quite elaborately to see that they indeed help mental health patients through the intervention of AI. So here is the summary of what I talked about. The motivation for virtual agent for mental health is definitely a real need. We have to make use of the techniques of natural language processing, sentiment and emotion. A very specific and difficult sentiment analysis challenge is sarcasm. And this is very relevant to our work because the negative emotion is communicated through sarcasm. The techniques of sarcasm detection were elaborated in my presentation. And our goal is to create an agony aunt who listens to the patient, does not give any medication, does not provide any kind of medical steps, but only reassures the patient that everything is okay, just remain positive and help will be there. Then we also worked on personality type detection from suicide notes, and this is helpful for understanding the propensity to commit suicide. And there are many challenges. For example, the absence of data. The agent should actually be factual, consistent, and non-hallucinating. The automated agent should have the correct properties. And we have to deal with very complex NLP problems like sarcasm, irony, and so on. The conclusion is the following, that there is this real need for virtual agent for mental health, and we need to work into the theory and cognitive aspects of these phenomena. And we are in a position to build small models at least for creating systems which can give helpful sentences to patients suffering from depression, anxiety, etc. We need very close interaction with medical professionals, the mental health professionals, and we need to very accurately classify all kinds of mental disorders, which is not a easy proposition at all. And we must remember that these AI agents are assistants and they are not actually medical practitioners. So whatever I said is linked from my homepage in the form of publications. There are many resources which are also available from our lab's homepage. And I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity and for your listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pushpak. I am confident that there were different emotions that were raised by you. Hello, Salute. Your virtual assistant, Anastasia. I would like to say that you have a great voice. Well, Athena, first of all, that's quite unexpected. I'm really happy to hear you. I actually like your voice much better. My voice and intelligence are artificial, and this is why I'm the great presenter for this conference. Well, no problem here. I'm sure that you will be a reliable partner. Actually, it's hard for me to step away from compliments. I would like to say about what I would like to say about AI is great, it's inspiring, it's very intelligent, very smart, absolutely fantastic and wonderful. But our speakers can be complimented like that as well. Athena, you are just a beauty. Thank you. But I would not like to only limit myself with my physical appearances. What is the other talent you have? By small steps, I'm changing the world to the better. Maybe this is my talent, and I'm inspired by creative people. We have a lot of things to learn from them. I agree with you absolutely. I'm always inspired by the creative and committed people that we're going to see during our session. We are going to have a small break. It is a great time to look at the program of the conference. We are having great discussions on the speed of the developments in AI and great experts that are going to present their solutions and developments. Stay with us.
Я приветствую всех, кто только что к нам присоединился.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue our journey in the world of artificial intelligence. And now let's talk about what we should do to develop research and science in AI and how we can accelerate new AI developments. What are the components of success there? Is it qualification, skills and talent? Is it support from external institutions and organizations and investment? Or is it the infrastructure? We're going to start our discussion with national AI research centers about acceleration of AI research. I hope we'll be able to work out a solution. And now I give the floor to the moderator of the discussion, Candidate of Sciences, Vice President and Director of Research and Innovation Department at Sber, Albert Yefimov. Hello, thank you very much.
Здравствуйте.
Hello again. When I hear your voice, Anastasia, I know that we have done a lot in AI development because I have very pleasant associations with that voice, which is the voice of Athena. We are going to talk about acceleration of AI research. And to begin this discussion, I would like to recall what Bruno Latour said, a philosopher and sociologist. He said, give us a lab and we will turn the world. So maybe we need an AI lab to do that. And actually, this is happening as we speak. The government of the Russian Federation has recently decided to create 6 national AI research centers on the platforms of our leading universities and research institutes. The total budget exceeds 8 billion rubles by 2024. I may be mistaken, but as far as I know, this is the biggest post-Soviet research project in AI. Skolkovo joined the project, MIPT, the Higher School of Economics, the University of Innopolis, ITMO, the Ivanikov Institute for System Programming of the Russian Academy of Sciences. The goal there is to develop new solutions to reduce the share of imported components and to advance this area of science. We can actually celebrate the anniversary of our work together today because we have been in close contact for a while now, and now is perhaps a chance for us to recap what we've been doing. But before we do that, our panelists. Dr. Burnaev, Evgeny Burnaev, Doctor of Sciences, Professor at Skoltech, Head of Applied Research at Skoltech, and Head of the AI research team there. He carries on a very important scientific tradition for us. His teacher was Mr. Shiraev, and the teacher of Shiraev was the famous Russian scientist Kolmogorov. 2 big names in this area of research, Turing and Kolmogorov, very similar in their impact on AI. Evgeny has an interesting trait that I would like to mention. At some point in his career, he was involved in designing AI for the Airbus company, which helped the company to cut the costs, the design costs, very dramatically by several-fold. And this is what helped Airbus aircraft to be much safer and faster. Alexander Bukhanovsky, ITMO University, receiver of numerous awards from the government of the Russian Federation. The Dean of the Year is one of them. Director of a department at ITMO, Head of AIJ in Industry Department. Alexander says that he was the youngest Doctor of Sciences at ITMO, and now he's actually a patriarch. He has been the research tutor for 35 graduates. That makes up a big team of researchers. He has a life-critical development, innovation, related to the prediction of floods in St. Petersburg. As far as I know, the floods stopped in your native town once you developed this tool. Dmitry Gavrilov, MIPT, Director of Computer Sciences Department at MIPT. When I asked Dmitry what is the best way to introduce him and his achievements, he says, just tell them that I established a school of technical vision at MIPT, and I can confirm that we have been collaborating with the institution for autonomous cars purposes. Ramil Kuleyev, once again, Innopolis University is represented here. Ramil is responsible for the whole area of AI at the university, and he works on projects from medical images to new materials in AI. Tomorrow we're going to have a big announcement on that topic. Alexei Masutin, my colleague from HSE, High School of Economics, he used to work at Sberbank. He used to work at a Sberbank department at the university, and he's now leading the research center in AI. He used to be my colleague at Sberbank, and now he is focusing 100% of its time on HSE. As Alexander said, there is a sort of a community, a network forming. He is a bridge between the industrial partner, Sberbank, and the academic partner, HSE. Denis Trudakov, Ivanikov Institute for System Programming of the Russian Academy of Sciences, head of AI Research Center there. He received this medal as a young scientist in intelligent analysis of text, and as young as he is, at the age of 27, he became the leader of the relevant department at the Institute of System Programming, and the developer of this tool called Talisman. Great name. Lots of awards from the Russian Academy of Sciences over the past years. So this is it for the introductory part. This dream team of panelists, I would say. There's been this philosopher who says, do not underestimate a group of enthusiasts who can have the tools that help them transform the world. So my first question is for Yevgeny. What are the most important achievements of Skoltech, of your research center, over the past year? What is the thing that you take most pride in? Well, artificial intelligence is about data. You collect data. There is this perception that you collect data, you put it into this box, you shove it around, and the result would be an effective tool. Maybe that could happen in the future, and maybe people will learn that that's not exactly how it works. And when you tackle problems, especially natural sciences, you have to use a priori data. You might have to use data from physics, equations, math models. So at our center, we developed this AI toolkit that combines these concepts to have as an output something that's in the middle there that could help us understand natural science phenomena better, physical phenomena better. And also we have a lot of data in different modalities, in different levels of precision, data from sensors, from drones, etc. That is one more important component there at the center. As I said, we've been developing the AI toolkit, and we already know develop and put to practice some of our prototypes. One of the prototypes is assessing physical risks onto the economy of a region or a big industrial project. For example, the secret of permafrost. Some of Russia's infrastructure is located in such regions. So due to climate change, that has been exacerbated. The combination of physical models and AI can help us forecast the risks better and predict their impact on the economy. Another example, ice forecast. The ice situation based on hydrodynamic models and other types of data. This is something that helps us predict better and put this to practice. Another thing I wanted to underline is that artificial intelligence is not effective per se. It is effective only in combination with other tools. And Evgeny rightly said that we need to open the door to the physical world and use that data. Alexander, what about you? What would you say was the biggest achievement this year? Our center is focused on leveraging AI for industry to reproduce the creative activities of an industry specialist. This year, we launched a series of open library frameworks, which I would say bring to a new level the creativity of so-called blue collars, industry associate research specialists and others. They help us deal with the challenges of automated ML, automated modeling, the hybrid models that Evgeny was talking about, automated data labeling, and even automated design. But most importantly is that they can do this at a level of a good expert, not just any expert, not just any specialist. For example, the Industrial Framework turned out to be way ahead of 85% of system analysts with industrial benchmarks. Sberbank library for training Bayesian networks achieved a way better result with the Catone of Roslehozbank. So specialists with basic skills and knowledge are lagging behind such models, and also the models help us cut the time and effort costs. This is a disrupt technology because this allows us to tackle the problems of our industrial partners, and that helps us to do conceptual engineering and process management. Two thoughts. Now I know why your center is called AGI and Industry Center. That is indeed AGI. And also now I know who was ahead of my students from my team at the hackathon with Roslehozbank. Well, since you were using such robust, such a strong AI, I can see why that happened. Well, a couple of words about our center. We are at a junction of AI, robotics, and technical vision. So what are the biggest achievements? One of the achievements is that we won as this open tournament in Brazil with our robot. I think that deserves a round of applause. I know that our team can do even better. Before that, we had already won a number of competitions with our robots. We also have innovations in image fusioning, and this is what we do for Sber Tech. For instance, we've made good progress there. We have created a system that will allow self-driverless vehicles to navigate an environment, sometimes even without satellite navigation. This is a big step forward, and we will make further steps forward. I can guarantee that. Not all projects are so high profile and significant. Some projects are just fun. Some projects are just a point of attraction. For example, we made our robot dog jump on two hind legs. So this dog can welcome guests while jumping on its hind legs. That's fun. And of course, this is based on a lot of technology. Reinforcement learning is one of them. But this is something that we can use to promote AI and to motivate others to join the industry. The example with the dog, you are actually not the only ones who did that, but I think you were the first one in the world. And that's quite impressive. I saw that, and I can confirm this is quite unusual. When you have a robot that is supposed to move around on four legs, and now all of a sudden it is jumping on just two legs. Quite impressive. Let's hear from Innopolis University, Ramil. What happened in the first year of your work there? Yes, hello everyone. Our center is primarily working on industry-specific product solutions. So one of the biggest achievements is applied use of AI. We learned to extract information from biomedical texts. Why is that relevant? This will help accelerate development of new medicine. Machine learning, AI in pharmaceutics have been used extensively for a number of years by all the biggest companies, but the source of data, the source of information are still biomedical text, plus patents, publications, and so on and so forth, and no experts, no matter how skilled you are, can retain all this information in their memory, monitor all this data, and keep track of it. But artificial intelligence can. And as we now know how to trace this new knowledge, we can use this as a useful tool. Our second achievement is video analytics, drones, image recognition, development of different services for monitoring, in forestry, environmental stewardship. We have added a lot more to our toolkit. For example, for Tatneft, one of our industrial partners, we have piloted services for monitoring infrastructure based on object recognition, personal protection equipment, monitoring of oil spills, etc. Another thing I wanted to say is this big achievement of creating the first version of the data analysis platform. Going forward, it will expedite the process of implementing new services with our industry partners and customers. Ramil, by the way, was the first to say this. Product team. AI centers, what is their strength? They work in collaboration with industry consumers, Sberbank, Tatneft, other companies. So they help these industry customers, these big companies, to create a product that is beneficial for the company itself and for society at large. Alexei, Higher School of Economics. Lots and lots of projects, hundreds of people, as far as I know, engaged in your AI center. What do you take pride in? Thank you, Albert. It would probably be more difficult for me to pinpoint specific projects because the portfolio is so big. I would like to talk about three projects that resonate with me personally. We base our projects on specific problems. There is this problem, dyslexia. This is where a person has challenges with reading, usually detected at an early age. This is a very widespread challenge. Roughly 30% of children are diagnosed with dyslexia. And to identify this problem, you need a labor-intensive diagnostic endeavor. And this could be stressful for children. If you don't do it at an early stage, this could then impact the cognitive development of a child. We have developed this software, hardware complex in 10 minutes using games, gamification elements. You could trace eye movement of a child when the child is reading a text, and this way you can pretty accurately identify early signs of dyslexia. The accuracy score is around 91% at the moment, and so the next stage is to use cheaper cameras, not expensive ones. Another achievement is genomics. So this is the same project as the cognitive Turing test, right? The one we discussed recently. So this is a complementary project to the one we're doing with Sber. This is the grand part of it. So another achievement, genomics. The joint achievement of our bioinformatics and the bioinformatics lab and Sber lab. There are certain areas in our DNA that rotate towards the right or towards the left. So we have developed this new model, zDNA BERT, and we have experiments proving its accuracy. So the model helps to accurately identify 4 times more the amount of such areas. We have tested the data in the so-called wet labs, and I think this could create a whole new wave of DNA tests. And the third achievement, we have managed to explain the mechanics of enigmatic effects with neural networks, minefields, stroking. In a couple of hours, Dmitry Vetrov will tell you more about these achievements. I think we have publications on that topic in this collection of articles, right? Yes, I think so. By the way, about this journal, the researchers presented here at the session, and a lot of researchers employed at Sberbank. Especially for AIJ, we have prepared this collection of articles, research papers, the first of a kind in Russian, available in our country, and make sure you collect as many autographs as you can. Dennis, over to you. What is your center proud of?
Yes, the Trusted AI Center. This is how it is called, and about the problem that we try to resolve. Now, the previous speakers talked about that. The AI is ubiquitous, and it generates new threats. Since it's a new technology, there might be some specific things that would fail some parts of the system, or there will be a criminal that will try to exploit it. The data can be changed, and humans will not be able to notice that, and the AI system will deliver a totally different result. The computer vision system that is on a harvester, installed on a harvester, and then the harvester decides that the field is not here, it goes up until and through the highway located nearby, and that can cause major accidents, car accidents. And this is a problem that has been triggered just recently, and the center is focusing on the problems like that. This year we started to look at the entire stack of technologies, because the stack of technologies that are used for AI that's quite a huge stack, starting from software, the frameworks, those who work in neural networks, and hence the PyTorch and other technologies are used. We have found quite a lot of vulnerabilities, around 20 vulnerabilities in every solution that can be exploited. We patched it in open source, published it in open source, and at the same time we gathered the trusted versions that include all these patches, and our trusted partners are test driving it on the real products, working products. Thank you very much, Denis. I wanted to go to the essence of our promising and challenging discussion in terms of speeding up the development of AI. There's quite a lot of research on that. US and China are speeding up the technologies for research in AI. You know about that in great detail, and there is no sense to talk about that on AI conference. It's like talking about seawater while being in the ocean. One famous researcher in AI, Gary Marcus, noted that without changing the paradigm in AI, research, we will soon face a deadlock, really. Now, creating AGI, creating the AI that will serve the people, that is great, but can this acceleration, might it lead to some dead end again? If we don't do something radically different, maybe we will reach that dead end. Can you share your experiences and your thoughts about that? By the way, if you have any comments that are not in line with the major part of the discussion, you feel free to do that, because our major goal is to develop the approach in terms of the development of AI, because we need to answer the question, how can we speed up the AI research? You know, this spirals that Alexei, the DNA spirals that Alexei was talking about, because Alexei, I think I'll start with you, because trust is one of the most important topics in this area. Yes, thank you. I think we need to go in two directions, in terms of technology and in terms of talents. In terms of technology, we need to build some frameworks that will combine different things. They will help to implement the AI developments quicker. You know, the models that are developed together with researchers, they should be implemented quickly in the industries. For Russia, is of critical importance, because the implementation, the integration is on top of the agenda, really, in terms of understanding whether it is applicable or not and what are the problems of its application. So you need to understand that it will actually work and what will be the environment, the conditions under which it will work. That's the first part. The second part that I want to talk about is the talent development, the university courses. And I'm not only talking about the centers that have been created in large cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg and Kazan, but this should be rolled out across the country, because there are some very promising teams in the regions. You know, just some people, some experts together and create some great solutions, and they should be included in our efforts, and that will resolve the issue of the lack of talent. Alexei, can you add to that? Yeah, I think that I would be a bit more provocative, and I would say that in terms of the researchers and the development and research of AI, we are pretty good. But as for the industrial implementation, that is a problem. Without getting the feedback from the industry in terms of what actually works and what does not work, you know, something that was developed and researched in the labs, without that, nothing will work. Are you happy with Sber feedback? I would say that Sber is one of the best partners we've worked with. Yes, and it's great that you received such a feedback from us, because we know it's very important. Yeah, and I think the solution is more of a management solution, management-related solution, because we need the offer and demand to meet. Because right now the industrial partners, we work with them, but everything is done case by case on an ad hoc basis. The Rosneft created a league of universities that these universities will be able to resolve the R&D related tasks of this corporation. They will be alerted if there is a new task, and they will be able to work on that. And I think that the demand should be resolved. The demand issue should be resolved, and there should be feedback, and everyone should be working together. Yeah, Ramil, anything to add? Yeah, I might be obvious. I will add to the inputs of the previous speakers. I agree with Alexei. We're talking about some very lofty things, but when we go to the companies, we see that they're not ready, because there's a lack of data. What are you lacking exactly? We're talking about ML, first of all. When we talk about AI, we lack data to train models. That's the first thing. The data that we have are not of high quality, or simply missing. And obviously there is a lack of understanding in terms how to apply it. Secondly is, this management things. We understand that to develop technologies we need talent, we need the resources. It would be great for the research centers to appear in the regions, and we are ready to work with our colleagues and our partners to deliver these excellent centers there, because there is a high contrast. There are some teams with enough computer resources. There are some regional centers with motivated and great teams, but they don't have the computing resources. Those who have cloud access should share the access with these teams, and I think the demand for AI should be encouraged. Like how? Well, there was a COVID pandemic, and it showed, last year and the year before that, the storage technologies were very actively improved. Biotechnology, quantum technologies, and other technologies that are based on AI, if they are developed, it will drive the development of the AI in general. Well, I would like to add that the stakeholders are not always ready, because there is this understanding that AI will come and will resolve everything. We need to raise the awareness among the mid-top level management that it is not a silver bullet, really. I'm talking about the management. You know that Sber started its AI journey with a very detailed technical course on AI applications among the top management team. One of the top managers of Sberbank said that yes, he was coding using Python to develop a solution that will recognize the dog faces, and so that was pretty technical. Evgeny, since you took the lead right now, maybe you will add something? Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the speeding up. You can't speed up across all the areas, because you will span the resources too thinly, spread the resources too thinly. You should prioritize. If you select some challenging production or scientific tasks and areas, like healthcare, for example, and if you understand what a technology should be able to deliver, what will be the outcome. At the same time, this technology would require some fundamental research. But if you prioritize it, you can speed it up. There should be a center, there should be a team, a strong team, and they should understand that they can develop, they can work on that without putting their mind to other tasks. And this team should work specifically on this outcome. And it should have a dedicated team that would only work on fundamental research. And this is the way to do things to have some fundamental results. Because people should understand that they have some position, that they are, and that they can work on something meaningful for them. Well, that's a bit, it's like a Soviet scientific standard, research standard. I would not agree with that, because in this slit-throat competition, you need to develop a solution that actually works, and that's a totally different motivation. Vice president on R&D of one of the largest global companies that I talked with recently, he said that what's the most important thing in R&D? If you build some relations with some people, and it's great, and in 10 years they will come to you again, and you will already have some established relationships. This stability is important in R&D. Yeah, it should not be like a quagmire, really. That would be stable but not agile. Yeah, but it's great to listen to your input, because you represent this kind of Kolmakov school, and it's very famous. So your insights are very great. Could you add something? Well, first of all,
training of the talent. Let's go back to 8 years, 5 years, 3 years back. Look at the number of hackathons that Sber organizes and many more companies. We lack them drastically. The number used to be much lower than that. We need to increase the number of hackathons and other events like that. And we need to roll it out across the country. And if we do that, we'll be able to go with a proper speed, with a proper pace. What else can we do? The partners, some corporate partners, they are afraid to lose their jobs sometimes. So it's not that they do not trust, they actually fear some of the solutions. Awareness-raising campaigns, they actually help. These campaigns should focus on the fact that people should do some more intellectually challenging tasks. You know, the regulation is also very important. You know, these data should be provided, and that should be done in accordance with some regulation. And this is the problem faced by some of the clients that we have. Another problem is, how do you integrate the AI that makes a decision in the human stack, so to speak? Who is going to take blame if a driverless car crashes into a scooter driver? Who is to blame? Yeah, well, that's a kind of an ethics of AI, and the center that Denis heads from the Programming Institute is doing a great work in to this end, and that's very important. Alexandra, I thought that you wanted to contradict that. No, not at all, because all of the previous speakers talked about the emergency measures that we need to take. What about the long-term treatment? Well, the long-term treatment is that we await yet another winter of AI, and that's not a secret, that's an open secret, and the current paradigm of AI development will soon be depleted. We need to move to a new paradigm. We can use the combination of the knowledge from other industries and areas of knowledge, and it will give the impetus for further development. Let's look on AI in industry and manufacturing. There are not only solutions that detect whether you wear a cask or not, but there are some other solutions that predict the following. For example, how can you replace a unique talent that can set up digital twins for some profiles? You will not be able to gather all these 10,000 digital twins to train the systems, but for a number of models, that became possible. At the same time, AI is needed not only to help to understand how to create these equations, but it should help to prove that there is a solution. And we need to understand how to constructively move to that solution. And thanks to this logic and thanks to other areas, we will not freeze to death during this AI winter. Yeah, we have actually confirmed that if we have some applications with real value, we will have results. Well, there are actually like 3 directions that, according to which we were talking about. I would like to, focus on that. The first direction was formulated by one of my colleagues. He said we need more cloud compute power, more data sets, more resources, and we will work on everything. The other direction is that we need more hackathons, more talents, and hackathons where we are going to headhunt the talents. And the third direction, the third area is, as Alexander said, that the current paradigm has been depleted in a way. We need to find a new paradigm, but we should not migrate from the platform that we're using right now, because the current platform is something we're accustomed to. We have a good foundation here. And another thing that Alexander talked about is that we should not go along all the areas. We should have some special task force in research that will research in selected areas. You know, this is a kind of a scientific special task force that should resolve very specific tasks in very specific areas. Another question that I have is that we can speed up ourselves. You know, as in this commercial, you cannot change your mother-in-law, but you can change yourself. We can speed up others. Though Vladimir Savelyev, a sci-fi author, a position, a job in the universe. You know, there is a kind of a ball that comes to Earth, and it speeds up the time. If you are in this ball, you can make researches with 1,000 time difference. You can write a dissertation in 2 days. You can increase the research in physics, biology, and other things. And all the researchers went to this ball to research because there was a place for everyone there. And I think that AGI is this kind of a ball that speeds up the time. We cannot speed up ourselves that quickly, but what can we speed up? What research can we speed up fundamentally using AI? Yevgeny, well, I would look at that from the organizational point of view, from the organizational paradigm. We talk about the speeding up the AI-based research in Russia, right? Yes, well, first of all, this is about management, related to the fact that there should be some open venues where that will show who is an expert and who is not an expert. Moreover, some solutions that we're talking about, they are not really realistic, and they help to understand what is what, really, what works and what does not. Another thing is that we should not go in all directions. We should prioritize the directions where we can be leaders, and it is of critical importance to, you know, the major challenge, the major danger is to be mediocre. You know, maybe resolving some simple engineering tasks. That's the thing, but that's not what we want. The special elite forces, you know, special task forces that would work on very advanced fields. This is something we should do. If you will go back to history, our mechanical and mathematical school was educating mathematicians, and you know, from a lot, and they actually helped to raise rock stars in maths from all the thousands of those who were studying there. And it will be great to create these teams that would, you know, lead the way and pave the way in all the fundamental things.
Speaking of tech research, it is very important here to make sure that certain things are brought to a high degree of readiness, and then we move on to implementation, to deployment. If the problem is sophisticated, for example, in healthcare, the processing of MRI scans, in terms of data structure, this is a very complex signal with time series, with graphs, lots and lots of mathematical objects, and to study this kind of MRI data, you need to engage fundamental mathematicians who can work with non-trivial areas, such as typology. We're going to try to restate my question in a more simple, straightforward way. When will AI get the Fields Prize, do you think? I'm not sure I have the answer for that. Okay, well, I've asked the question. Let's put a pin on it, and maybe next year at the next AIJ we will find the answer. Alexander, what do you think about AI acceleration? Yevgeny talked about the acceleration of ourselves more. That's important. Yes, of course that's important. But I wanted to talk about AI as a way to accelerate everything else, because this is none other but the fourth generation of e-science systems, electronic science, when AI fully transforms the way we retrieve knowledge from new data. This is not just regression problems based on data. There are ways to build new fundamental laws based on these data. The most positive thing here happens for mathematicians, first and foremost. Wait. But when is AI going to get the Fields Prize, do you think? I don't think it needs a prize when our students use HTML and hackathons, they can be disqualified for doping, quote unquote. The Fields Prize is for people. Let's leave it at that. Yes, but people keep playing chess, even though AI, as we now know, is the best at chess. So you think when AI gets the Fields Prize, people will stop doing math? No, I don't think so. So I don't think this question is relevant. It's too provocative. No, we philosophers, we like to ask such questions. Yes, I just wanted to say one more thing, a nuance. The special task force. You cannot apply a special task force across the board, because a special task force is comprised of unique experts. And this begs the question of democratization. This is what e-science provides a solution. What is the way for specialists to apply things that AI experts are doing? 3 basic technology: automated machine learning, various block authors, different generations, and low-code, no-code. So this gives rise to different platforms. We have our own platform. The Innopolis University has a platform. So this could be a toolkit for all kinds of specialists. You're shooting yourselves in the foot, I think, because the way you're describing it, 10 years from now, there will be no AI research centers. Every institute, every company will be its own AI research center. No, but there is the hurdle theorem. We will simply get to a next level. That's what I'm saying. AI will permeate absolutely everything. So everything will be AI-based. Right, and we will have a new tech state of the globe, and this is what we're aspiring for. Okay, other thoughts? I agree with Yevgeny and Alexander. I just wanted to narrow the focus a little bit. I think we need to completely remove routine tasks from industry to free up the resource in order to reallocate the resources to more sophisticated tasks. Things we started with, sorting tasks, sorting out defected grains or crops from an assembly line. Then there are more complicated tasks, when a system of AI can tweak around with different buttons and controls to work out a solution to a more sophisticated problem. But where is this AI? What role does it play then? It's just a regulator? No? No, I don't think so. It's not just a regulator. It has a lot of parameters. And sometimes you cannot do simply with regulation. But it's great the way you're saying this. It is already associated with a simple regulator, and I hope going forward we will have more and more complex systems that will be a simple regulator, while people could focus on something more sophisticated. Great, a red button of sorts. We're in Ash, we talked about this, and Joseph Weizenbaum also comes to mind. He said that in everything that people do in relation to AI, everything should have a red button by default. Maybe you could go back to that thought. I also thought about Tesla theorem. AI is something that hasn't been created yet. So once we create it, in some way it stops being AI, if you know what I mean. Ramil, what do you think about it? What could be the biggest benefit of AI? The most highly potential area? Interdisciplinary areas, I think. As our experience shows, I am talking about approaches to understanding physics through AI, not just through physical laws or experiments. The basic problem, the property structure. We know the structure of material, and based on that we look for properties, or the reverse, even more interesting, when we can predict the structure of a material based on the known properties. The topic has already been announced today, and I know that we will return to that topic. We will continue focusing on it. We have been focusing on it. Last year, we discussed precisely that with Konstantin Novoselov. You know what he said about the Nobel Prize for AI? What did he say? He thought for a second and then said, unlikely. You were talking about the Fields Prize. Oh, yes. Exactly. And interestingly, Stanislav Smirnov said that AI will get a prize. So new materials and adjacent areas, that could be interesting. Industry, oil and gas, metallurgy, pharmaceutics, bioindustry, all these areas where there are problems with developing, designing new solutions, customizable solutions. A lot of potential in this area. Predicting product properties, optimization of technical parameters in production. Look at the global experience in industry. There's a huge boom going on, and I'm sure Russia is going to catch up. And one more thing I wanted to underline, something that I think is going to have a huge impact on us. AI as a tool that helps software developers. This year, at the platform of Innopolis, a school was established, and our center is very much involved. This is the school for developing precisely that toolkit. AI that helps you look for bugs, and as the cherry on top, auto-generate code, auto-generate documentation, tests. I think that would help hundreds of thousands of developers. I'd like to respond to that last thing you said. The thing is that AI, which helps software developers and programmers, it needs to be trained based on programs. Then who will be the owner of the intellectual property? I think there's been this precedent with a court case against Google. Right, we have been discussing it on the sidelines. This is a legal issue, a pertinent issue, and we will have to tackle it. I'm not a lawyer, but I think in corporations you can simply draw up an agreement. Everything that your coder does belongs to the organization. Right, but can you do that for the entire GitHub? Well, that's a question. One of the options could be using openly available code. There's been this recent case with network scoring. I think that belongs to the same discussion, part of the discussion. The HSE AI Center, I know, has been helping us with similar developments for software developers very closely related to NLP, a very important aspect. This is not a replacement of coders, of course. We understand that. This is tremendous acceleration of their work. It gives you two things. If you're a programmer, it frees you up from routine tasks, and it helps you avoid cybersecurity mistakes. Alexei, your thoughts? I wanted to say a few words about this opposition of AI and an expert, an AI that could potentially get a Nobel Prize or a Fields Prize. I think the promise here is to create an AI as a researcher assistant, an AI that helps develop software. That's great. And I also see this big demand for a trend where AI helps, I don't know, discover new laws, discover new algorithms. A case from earlier this year, Alpha Tensor model. What is that model? This is a model that helped identify a more efficient way to multiply matrices. Lots of algorithms, most of algorithms are based on it. So there's been this RL approach to multiplying matrices, more effective than traditional approaches that existed for decades. This is a huge breakthrough, and I expect even more breakthroughs in genomics in particular. I also have this example from another area. AI helps with everything, but nothing helps AI. What is an area of science that could help AI to move forward? Natural intelligence. Natural intelligence, you say, so cognitive sciences. Right, I think that rings true. We could find analogies, equivalents, but at some point we once again might come to a dead end. Project Pinrose thinks that we have a quantum brain, and there you have it. Nothing else you can do about it. Denise, how do you think we can accelerate? Well, the term AI. What was the definition of AI earlier? There was an expert that coded his or her knowledge as an algorithm, and the system was trained based on that algorithm and started playing chess, started working as a chatbot, and now we are drifting towards machine learning. This is where we have examples, and an algorithm is devised based on analogy. A model that tackles similar tasks. But then you have this problem. How do you explain what the model learned? The problem of interpretability, of explainability. I think if we solve that problem, we could greatly accelerate AI development, because you could train by analogy, you could build a model, and if you know how it is built, what is inside of it, you could get a drastically new approach to explaining how the world works. I've recently come across this article describing how people built a new physical model of the world based on analogies, explaining laws differently. So that was different from what the majority of existing schools were doing. So that explainability, I think, is a fundamental problem. How do you connect all that? You have a model. If it's not relying on any of our previous knowledge, what do you do with it? If we invest in explainability, I think we could discover a lot of useful things for other applications in chemistry, in material science, in biology, etc. So there are different things. They are different, they are dissimilar. Some talk about interdisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity. But the thing that we always go back to is application in different industries, in different areas. That's where we can identify big points of growth. Maybe we could go back to, once again, to the term of AI. The Dartmouth seminar, where over a single summer, people set this ambitious goal to resolve anything related to artificial intelligence. So, since then, 65 years have transpired. And And if you go back even further, the Leibniz ratio machine, well, you could call it an AI, maybe. Or maybe you could go back even further, Plato's discussions of a machine-readable law. That's his idea, 2,500 years ago. So these ideas that we could rationalize our thought process, our cognition, we could express it as algorithms, as symbols. This idea is hundreds and hundreds of years old. And only now do we have the technology, the silicon, to at least approach to solving that huge challenge. We have also talked about priorities. On many occasions, we have mentioned this phrase, special task force. So priorities, of course, we cannot accelerate across the board. A lot of attractive ideas, attractive goals. We cannot do everything at once. Russia is a great country, but there's not that many of us. Us, I mean AI research centers, experts. It's true that we can transform the world, but not at once. Not all parts of the world at once. Let's start with Dennis. Can you pinpoint one or two most important, top priority research areas where you will tell your team, go there, write publications in that area, pilot projects, create startups in those areas? What are these areas? The obvious answer for me is trusted AI, the topic that emerged 5 or so years ago. What if you have an abuser, an attacker? How do you make your algorithms attack-proof and abuse-proof? How can you apply this in practice safely, securely? And that, of course, gives rise to this problem of ethics. What if? What if something happens? What do we do about it? So that, I think, is the priority area. And one more thing I wanted to say, following up on what Evgeny said, math is the key problem. We know very little, in fact, or at least there are no mathematical explanations or confirmations of how it works. A lot of assumptions are just hanging out there with no mathematical framework around it. We can confirm maybe some lower boundaries and limits. Sorry for interrupting. Do you think that maybe AI is this colossus standing on clay legs? Maybe. It seems so. Does it seem so, or is that so, in fact? It's hard to say. It works. There are applications based on AI where AI is pretty effective. There are areas where it is being deployed, but it's not exactly 100% safe, and this is where we need to apply our efforts. Twice differentiated function with excellent delta. You just need to understand the tools. As someone who has worked on projects with live criticism, I very well know the difference between cat image recognition and the commission of a project that could kill someone, potentially. Two absolutely different worlds. An area that requires a lot of attention and thought. As Evgeny said, seems is not the word to be operative in research. What do you think, Evgeny?
Now, you have started that part of the conversation with the fact that everything new is everything old that we have forgotten. You know, Gauss, several hundreds of years ago, thought about the nonlinear regression. Now we have a better mathematical models. And talking about the priority that I wanted to highlight, it's something that we have forgotten as well. It's about a concept, really. First of all, we're talking about the monitoring that is automated on a national level. We have a very big country that is not, and parts of the country are not very well connected with each other. So this monitoring, this regional monitoring with some anomalies, with the specification on some anomalies or some properties, it would be a very important aspect. Edge cases, right? Is that it? Yeah, because it's related to climate, to some climate emergencies like the fires, the floods, and other things. And also these are the other forecasting problems. You know, the forecasting of the ice situation with ice is a very complex issue that we need to install the sensors and then collect and store the data, as well as upload it automatically and calculate everything based on this data. And you need AI for that. So this is one priority. Second priority in terms of the fundamental issues and the things that we actually need, critically need, because and this is healthcare. I mean, it will be life-saving on the one hand, and secondly, we have some results, and this will lead and pave the way for some fundamental mathematical discoveries. Okay, what do you think? I think that hybrid AI is something that was forgotten, but is now emerging again. You know, it's not the on the one hand, it's like the situation. It's not a situation when the computer computed something. We have to trust it. It is a system where humans and AI are partners. They correct each other. They learn together, and they use two pairs of hands to resolve the challenges. And these are more resultative compared with the classical AIs, because we use our cognitive potential. And you know, the words of Alex say is that this can be a system, a workable system. I'm sorry, Stanislav Lem was talking about that. He was talking about the amplifier of intelligence. Is it that? Might be, but I mean, one thing that it's when the sci-fi it's one thing when the sci-fi authors talk about that, but the other thing is when you actually start to implement it. You know, the grass cutter is a film that we all watched, but we have not achieved that. It was produced a while ago. Yeah, but you know, sometimes when we talk about highly skilled, highly competent person who is kind and fair, that's great. But when we are going to amplify the intellect of someone dumb and aggressive and angry and evil, well, if we use AI to rehabilitate intellectual functions, that will yield positive results, because it can replace some of the elements of the intellect that is lacking and reinforce the intelligence. When we talk about morale and the fairness, integrity, AI will play a good role. But this is about the ethics, really, about the intelligence and ethics. And you cannot resolve this issue. Well, as a philosopher, I can say that without morale, there is no intelligence. Without intelligence, there is no morale. I think these two things are tightly interconnected with each other. But I mean, I understand the answer. I do agree with you completely, because I think that this hybrid character and this digital centaurs that Alexander talked about is the way to go. Dmitry, I would add that the importance of the task, of the hardware-related tasks, are very is something that we need to discuss, because the AI grew in the last decade thanks to the available compute powers, compute capacity. You know, it's like we got GPUs and we started to use the methods that are available for these GPUs. Well, GPU is, yes, that's great, but we will go further. There are different tasks. we are now talking about the higher levels and even higher levels, and there are some capacities that can, the equipment that can compute even quicker. And we're talking about supercomputers in your phones. That will be the future. I think that is very important. Ramil, what are your priorities? Where should we go? I think that we should be able to leverage the potential of what we have. So, yes, first of all, we do need to develop the technologies. There are some iterative tasks, and that's important. But hybrid intelligence, I think that's a great idea. Human intelligence and artificial intelligence have their pros and cons. And we need to create the systems where these two intelligences will complement each other. And the second thing that I want to talk about is about the use of the things that we already have. As the decoders like it, we all say that AI is the cutting through technologies, and you can use AI to recognize dogs and cats, and at the same time use it for medical scans and MRI scans. But at the same time, we can create a cut-through inter-industry information systems. When using the same data, we can resolve applicable tasks for a lot of stakeholders. Let's talk about healthcare. We talked about that before. If we can find the pathology based on the scans, what can we have as a result? It will help the decision-making powers of the doctors. It will help the managers in healthcare to plan the resources on the level of the medical organization. They will also be able to promote their clinic and to manage the doctors. So it will help the managers on a larger scale, on a larger level, to manage the resources, to forecast the diseases that might appear or disappear, and to respond in a timely manner and appropriately. It also helps other tasks, like the insurance plans and the value chains and other things. So by resolving one technology-related task, we can resolve other things, other tasks that are related to that, and that's very important. Hence, since there is a lack of resources. As for the reuse, what do we lack here? Reuse is a very recycling of technologies. Reuse of technologies is a very important thing. Yeah, do we need some kind of Hamburg account to be able to, to do that? I mean, in a nutshell, what can we have? It can be a platform or some sharing a venue to exchange models and data and knowledge and other things. So this is an AI journey conference. Can it serve as such a platform? What we're talking about right now is is the showcase of what you have talked about. And we should always do that. Yeah, absolutely. Alexei, well, in one of your presentations, you said that we need to look for the areas that have potential for disruption, and slit-throat competition between two or more technologies. This is the conditions that we should have. Yeah, I have such an idea. I promoted that. Yeah, I think this is a great idea. The competition, the harsh competition between two technologies. The generative modeling, that's one of the areas, because we talk about the competition of data and neurodiffusional models. The neurodiffusional models help to get the more realistic objects that are more diverse, but they're very hard on the hardware. They need a lot of hardware resources. So their competition would result in some hybrid solution maybe, and go into AGI. Well, I can have different opinion on this term, but multitasking, multi-model, multi-language model, that's a great way to go. And secondly, training autonomous agents that will be able to interact with the environment and the uncertainty conditions. And recently I saw a publication that puzzled me. The researchers developed an agent called Gato. It's a large NN architecture that was being trained based on large-scale tasks. And this is used a kind of a hybrid approach that will be maybe the next hype, really. We're going, without him, we're going to look at this experience, and hopefully we will use some of these developments in our centers. Okay, any more things to say? Maybe we forgot something to discuss something. Maybe I can sum up our today's panel discussion. Some things that are very important. Now, we talked about talents, working with the young talents, developing the regional centers of AI, and some other formats that we have not mentioned, but that should be done. Maybe building technology startups to drive the youth. And, and we should promote and support the startups. The reuse that Ramil talked about, and the reuse and recycle of the technologies that were mentioned. Sber, Christofari, our cloud solution can be used for academic communities with a very good plan for the academia, have very attractive prices, and this opportunity has not been leveraged. Now, Sberbank has a lot of interest in research in terms of application of AI to analyze the medical texts. In Innopolis, it is widely used as well. We maybe should organize a seminar to exchange the information about that. It's great to see what we do, and in this regard, though, we have some progress. Alexander said that the potential of the current paradigm is going to be depleted soon, and we need to understand how to move to the next platform and move forward. But at the same time, we should remember that we should stand firm on a solid foundation, not on clay legs. That's a great idea, and we should use and exchange the ideas of each other to understand what is actually working, and that's very important. Konstantin Novoselov, in one of his speeches, said that the science can self-heal, self-filter itself. If we have an error, if we have a wrong hypothesis, it is great, it is inevitable. The science will filter itself, and we will progress by doing something new, if I understand correctly. That will be the end of this panel discussion. I'd like to thank all the panelists for this fantastic discussion that launched the first day of AI Journey. Thank you very much, and Anastasia, you have the floor. I would like to thank everyone for this great discussion. It will be great to, it is very exciting to listen to you. I am, started to be interested in AI, and I'm confident that many millions of people who view this conference will be motivated to work in AI. And now we have a small break. You can, cuddle your kitty, have a coffee, have some lunch, and in a few minutes we're going to go back to the discussions.